because you go to them every single day and you say, "Oh, how do you feel?" And most of them would say, "Yeah, I feel fine. Nothing's bothering me right now." And that might be the case, but that doesn't mean a flare-up can't happen later. And I thought with Garcia, when he had the pain in his hand, I don't know if it was a nerve or a tendon, something like that, a muscle strain in his hand. Every time he fouled off a pitch, he felt pain. So it's kind of hard to tell before a game because you're not fouling off any pitches. It's, well, everything feels fine. I'm fielding fine. And him avoiding the IL stint, just not being in the lineup, then trying it again, him then landing on the IL, that maybe was the sign for handling things differently with Bobby. Bobby might have said, "I feel fine. Let's just take 10 days off. Let's just take 10 days off. There's 60 games to go in the season. We want you back for the final month and a half, finish the year strong, but there's no need here to rush him into anything, have him play through." I mean, clearly this thing's been bothering him for longer than a few days. I mean, he's been hitting around 200, I believe, the last month. So I'd have a guess that this has been lingering for a little bit, and it's just been flaring up a little bit more over the last couple days.
And there's no point in trotting Bobby Witt Jr. out there at shortstop when you're 18 games below 500. I know the Royals are on a hot streak. They've won back-to-back series to open up the second half of the season, but Bobby Witt Jr. and the future of what he can do for this Royals franchise, there's no point in jeoparding that this season. I will ask you, though, he's 26 years old now with lower back tightness. Is this something that needs to be considered when looking at his long-term outlook?
I don't think so. No, I mean, baseball players, when you play so many games a year, you play a very active position like shortstop. This can happen. It has been upsetting to know that this year, along with all the losses that have happened, he's had two separate injuries. He's had the knee strain or whatever it was after diving for a ball against St. Louis, then tried to play through it a little bit. It was clear that wasn't going to be working out. And now you've got the low back tightness. Whether it's, I've thought about it this morning of, did protecting the knee lead to any back tightness? I've heard of that before, where a lower body injury, you're limping around, you're protecting an ankle, a knee, a hamstring, and that can lead to just not uneven posture, but just it can lead to other things. It's why we see
you just overcompensate.
You overcompensate for something, therefore it could lead to an injury elsewhere. We see it with pitchers all the time of sometimes in protecting a lower body ligament, if it's a knee, a foot, right? If you have your plant foot and you're not going full force there, well, then it puts more strain on your upper half. Therefore, can lead to shoulder injuries, elbow injuries, forearm injuries. I have to wonder if that happened. Maybe it's just totally unrelated, and he's had back tightness from swinging a bat, from a diving play that happened a couple of weeks ago. We don't really know. This is the right move. I don't know, though, if the Royals need to view this as, well, he's kind of an injury-prone guy, because this is the first year that he's had any sort of injury, and these have been minor ones. The knee strain was a little bit more serious. This one seems like it's playing every single day. It can happen, and I'll tell you this, you never say an injury is a good thing, but if the Royals were in a playoff spot right now, they were a game out, 2 games out, and this hits you, yeah, that would be far more catastrophic than it is right now, where the Royals can give him the time off, give him the rest, and make sure he is 110% before he returns to the lineup.
And the injuries have poured on for the Royals this year, and I want to talk about what happened last night, where Jack Caglione left the game in the 6th inning after he landed awkwardly trying to dive and catch a ball from Jesus Rodriguez, which ended up being a double. And again, the first thing that I thought is, that's a big man out there lumbering in right field. Is there a concern that long-term, and granted it was I don't want to say a freak injury, but it's what happens when a 6'5", 230-pound guy hits the ground awkwardly. You're going to have those minor injuries, and Matt Quatrero said that it's sore and that they're just going to have to check and see what it looks like. So I don't think anything long-term you could take away from that injury, but is the long-term takeaway that he might not be the right fielder of the future?
I wouldn't say so. It was an awkward dive, and that might be a correlation to just still getting comfortable with the position. He's made tremendous strides this year and becoming a good right fielder. He's not a Gold Glover by any means, but he looks so much more comfortable. When I asked him that months ago, very early on in the season, about this transition from first base to right field and how much more comfortable he is. He said it's night and day difference, and Starling Marte was a big part of that, and working with guys like Lane Thomas and Kyle Isbell in the outfield, just getting the right read, knowing when to dive. That's going to be the next key here. It was the right time to dive. It's going to look a little bit awkward because he is so big out there. It's the same way that when I watch Aaron Judge, when he's out there, dive for a ball, it just looks unnatural for a guy that's that big. But still, it's about making sure in a dive, yes, the first goal here is catching the ball. The second part to it is protecting your body.
Land safely.
And I thought yesterday was maybe just a combination of he's running full speed, he's diving, and then just your shoulder jams into the ground. He's not in the lineup today. That's, again, it's the right move.
Precaution.
You don't need to, if it's sore, it's sore. You got a 4-game series in Detroit after this, and you want him back for that series. You want to see him go try and play spoiler against the Tigers team that's been really hot and is playing good baseball. And the only way you can play spoiler and have a good second half is if you get him healthy and playing healthy. And the last thing you want to see, other than him getting rushed back and then him re-injuring that shoulder, is him playing through this and the numbers being terrible. And then he finishes the second half of the season with a really bad year overall, where you had a really good first half, you've had a pretty good start to the second half. Take your time with this. I would say for every injury out there, you have a starting pitcher, feels some sort of tightness, have him miss a start. It literally does not matter to rush these guys back. In terms of those games do not matter. You can go get a spot start. You can have somebody fill in their spot. If they lose today, it's not because Jack Caglione and Bobby Witt Jr. weren't in the lineup. It's because they just don't have enough depth there. Now, that is a part in it, but this is about 2027. This is about making sure your team is at full force, and this has been such a injury-ridden season. It's not the reason they're 42-60, but it's a big part in it. I mean, you go across baseball, you take away their number 1 and number 2 bat in the lineup for an extended period of time, they're not going to be a very good team. Or you take away their number 1 and number 2 pitcher, they're not going to be very good. And that's turned them from a 5 games under 500 team to an 18 games under 500 team.
And, an underrated aspect of why Cags may have a longer leash in right is because Salvador Perez is kind of the key cog in this entire thing, because you can't move, Caglione to first, because then you have to figure out what you're going to do with Vinny, and Salvi's still playing nearly every day, so you don't want to put Salvi as, I guess behind the dish, because you want Carter behind the dish to get those reps. So it kind of depends on what 2027 looks like and what they ultimately end up doing with Salvador Perez in his role. But that's, I think, why another reason you'll see Cags out there much longer, because there's a logjam at first base right now.
There is, and I would say that next year it's going to be Vinny Pasquantino. Salvador Perez, that will be the question mark of this offseason. How do you handle this? Salvi needs to break George Brett's record. I imagine he's going to. He will do.
I'd hope.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get 2 more, right? And it's more than doable for him as long as he stays healthy. And we can knock on wood, because, I'm not a huge believer in jinxes, but clearly with this team, I'll never turn down the opportunity to knock on wood to avoid some injuries here, because that's all they've been enduring over the last couple of months. But the big question mark is, what role does he play? You can't go into next year with Salvador Perez in your opening day lineup. You can't if you expect to be a true contender, mainly because he would be in the order as the designated hitter. And yeah, Salvi might have 20 bombs this year, but Salvi's at this point in his career not a well-rounded enough hitter where that's going to be enough. If he was a second baseman, which
that'd be great.
I mean, he's like second baseman.
I would put him at second right now.
Yeah, if he's a bad defensive second baseman and he hits 20 bombs, his OBP is 275. It's like, all right, he's not good, but it's second base. And I'm a big believer in high-value positions, low-value positions. High-value positions would be shortstop, would be center field, catcher to an extent. But like second base is a low-value position. Right field is a low-value position. The Royals went to the World Series back-to-back years. More so, I'll allude to 2015 here, winning the World Series with Alex Rios as their right fielder. And Alex Rios was not a great overall player. He had his moments, and it was fine. But that's how you build a team a little bit. You cannot be a great baseball team, like an above-average, awesome baseball team, with a well-below-average shortstop or a well-below-average center fielder. You look across baseball at some of the great teams out there, and I'm talking about a bad player. Like the Rays have, I still believe, the number one record in the American League. Like you have Walls at shortstop, who's arguably the best defensive shortstop next to Bobby Witt Jr. He does something really well over there. He's not the best bat, but he's a really good defender. The Dodgers have Andy Pages in center field, high value position. You get a ton in return there. Whereas the Royals, when you're building a lineup, you have a DH. They don't need to be exceptional defensively. Salvi's not anymore. But you need to be more than what Salvi gives you. Salvi's 40 to 50 points below, or maybe it's now like 30 or something, an OPS plus. I mean, hundreds league average, he's in the 70s, I believe. That can't fly for your DH, and that's why when constructing your team next year, Salvi's your backup catcher, Salvi's your backup catcher. If he really wants to come back and be a backup catcher for a full season, you owe him that. He is an icon. He's not going to play anywhere else. He's going to retire a Royal. Or Salvi might say, hey, this was the year I was dreading, but it's probably the reality now. I mean, every great player has a year like this before their career comes to a close. Maybe not everybody. There's been some all-time greats that still perform really well in their final year. But Salvi might say, hey, what matters to me, I'm the all-time leader in home runs for the Royals. I played for one team my entire career. I won a World Series, won a Silver Slugger Award, multiple of them. I was a Gold Glover. I mean, he's a decorated player. And the last thing you want to do is end your career being an eyesore in the lineup. Nobody wants that for Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez doesn't want that. And once you come to that agreement, then you can say, all right, let's go spend money on a DH that can be a 35, 40 home run bet like Salvi used to be, which was great for the team in 2024. He's not that anymore. Salvi needs to acknowledge that. The Royals need to acknowledge that.
And the longer he plays and his WAR goes down, that also hurts his Hall of Fame chances, which nobody in Kansas City wants to see. But I want to hit on the point that you made about positional value. A conversation that we had with Joel Penfield on Monday was about center field and Kyle Isbell. And Sterling is very passionate that Kyle Isbell is not the player that he wants to see in center field going forward. And given the fact that center fielders rarely come up on the free agent market, or at least good ones, they're probably going to have to acquire that either via trade or go out and find, let's face it, a Kyle Isbell lookalike or somebody that is pretty much matching what he could provide. So going into 2026, or 2027, we had the conversation about Salvi and what his role might look like if he chooses to come back. Do we also need to evaluate what they do with center field, or are you expecting to see Kyle Isbell again?
I would expect him to be on the roster in some way. I don't know if it'd be the starting center fielder. If you find the right match, then I'm all for it. I would take better offensive numbers and worse defensive numbers from center field. I get Isbell is a fantastic defender. He's below average with the bat. He was playing really well before the injury happened, the tear in his foot. But it wasn't outside of this world. I mean, He was a slightly below average bat, but with the good defense, he's a fine center fielder. And I think that if the Royals' rotation stayed healthy and the bullpen was a little bit better, those are big ifs, right? And you can't play that game. The Royals' outfield plan worked this year. Like, that's the crazy part about this. The outfield is maybe the 8th problem on this team, and it's really not even considered to be a problem. The problem this year was the rotation having severe regression. Yes, and Vinny and Salvi not playing well, Michael not being the same guy he was last year. Those are all things that factor in here far more than the outfield. The Royals got out of Jack Caglione what they wanted to see. They have gotten, I would imagine, somewhat of what they envisioned from Isaac Collins, more so over the last 2 to 3 months. The first month, I mean, you can't erase that. And as much as I would like to say, hey, that's, less than 30 games into the year, the Royals arguably buried themselves in April, and he was a big part of that. He was a well below average bat. He was bad defensively. That's not great, and a lot of people aren't going to acknowledge that he's been slightly above average because of that first month of the season, and a lot of people checked out then because the Royals were doing what they usually do in April. But the platoon in center field was working. Lane Thomas was crushing lefties. Lane Thomas has been a great addition to this team. The 3rd highest OPS on the roster, only behind Bobby Witt Jr. and Jack Caglione. The number 1 walk rate on the team, 12.6%, a career high for him, north of 50 games played. He's been fine defensively in center. Izzy was really good, and Isbell was still hitting for a chunk of that season, 260, 270. And so you put those together. Moneyball is one of my favorite baseball movies. recreating guys in the aggregate. Well, if you're not going to have one great center fielder, let's have a center fielder who can hit righties a little bit and a center fielder who can hit lefties a little bit. One's really good defensively, one's average. You'll see more right-handed starting pitchers than lefties. It works out well. They did it correctly with the outfield. Unfortunately, everything else didn't really work out. So if they go into next year saying, well, we want Isbell back. We want Isbell to be our center fielder because we love the defense, and Isbell can win you a lot of games in center. You cannot undersell how important center field is, defensively. There's times that you have somebody that can't play center field, and the amount of balls that fall into the gap, balls they can't track down, line drives coming in, some of the toughest balls to react to as a center fielder, that requires an above-average defender. Isbell is one of those guys. He's also a 9-hole hitter. Going into the offseason, I'm not moving heaven and earth to make sure we replace Kyle Isbell. I'm moving heaven and earth to make sure that the rotation is back to where it is, to where the bullpen's back where it is. And the center field market's not phenomenal either. You go out there and you look at options, nobody stands out to you. Left field's a bit of a different story. There are guys, Randy Rosarena, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki. There are some intriguing guys that you could sign to long-term deals there. Are they fits? We'll find out here in a couple of months. Center field, you could go the trade route. Center field's also a hard position to match up on a trade for, because everybody that is employing a good center fielder, they don't want to move him, because that goes back to our original point, high-value positions. When you got a good center fielder, you don't want to let that guy go. I mean, it was, to get Lorenzo Cain, it took Zach Greinke, and Cain was still one of the better prospects in the Brewers organization. I'm hoping a guy like Zion Rose can be that future center fielder until he gets here. Truth be told, I might be all right with the platoon in center field. If there's no perfect solution out there, you don't fall into some tremendous luck. Look, Isbell's a 2.5, 3-WAR player if he plays an entire year. Lane Thomas is a good lefty crusher. If they ran that back next year, I wouldn't have too much of an issue with it.
And on a scale of them figuring out different holes on the roster, I can see center field being, okay, we've got a guy that can hit ninth, play spectacular defense in center. There's no need to upgrade that when we have to bring in, 2 different arms? It just in the rotation, the starting rotation, you need to overhaul the bullpen. So looking at the giant offseason ahead for the Royals, what would you say is the priority list? What do they have to do first, and what has to be accomplished? Because I'm kind of gathering that it's going to be on the pitching side of things and not so much the 3-4 hitter.
Yeah, I would go all in on pitching. If they spent all of their resources on pitching, I would not be upset with that whatsoever. I wouldn't even have any gripe about it. Yeah, I guess it would depend on which pitchers they're bringing in. I read David Lesky's newsletter today. He always does a great job inside the crown. He's been on the show multiple times with Seren and everybody around the station. But he had kind of discussed that there might be 70, 75 million that opens up if you can move Walker's contract. Depends on what you do with Salvi, but let's say roughly 60 to 75 million in that range. And that's some good money to work with there. And of the free agent market, I really believe what plays in the Royals' favor is Tarek Skubal is going to be this massive fish out there on the market. And I don't give Detroit a very good chance of re-signing him, and they might already know that. They also are still in playoff contention. I can't wait to see what they do at the trade deadline, because they're 5.5 games back of a playoff spot. That's still quite a hill to climb. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just are who you are. I mean, the Red Sox, they've won 14 in a row, or might have gotten snapped last night. I didn't see that. But the Red Sox are somebody that caught fire. But you got to know who you are truthfully. The Royals have to know who they are truthfully going into the offseason. The Tigers, if they decide to hang on to him, I believe he's going elsewhere in free agency, but you're going to have all those big teams, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, of course. You might have a team like San Francisco, and that might try to join those sweepstakes. You'll have all these different teams that have their sights set on Tarek Skubal. Some are going to fall in second, third, fourth, and fifth place, but that could be an area where the Royals capitalize in the market, is that you got all the attention on the big fish swimming in the pond. But what about the other big fish that would be your number one that not necessarily everybody's looking at right now? My favorite free agent that'll be available is another Detroit Tiger in Casey Mize. Like, if you went out to Casey Mize and said from the start, we believe you're the number one. The Tigers are focused on Tarek Skubal. The Tigers paid for Amber Valdez. Even if they sign Casey Mize, Farmer Valdez, though the numbers have been bad this year, he's paid like a number one. You could go to Casey Mize. I know Seth Lugo's still making north of $20 million, but kind of treat him as your workhorse. And that might be a risky game. He hasn't been the most healthy guy in his career, but the upside's really good. And then if you go out there and add a number two, let's say former Royal Foster Griffin. Let's say
back.
maybe you go Robbie Ray, who's getting closer to the end of his career. Maybe you don't want to do that because Lugo and Walker are doing the same. But there's some good arms out there. You can maybe do what you did with Lugo or what the Padres did with Lugo. Find a reliever that has less mileage. You turn him into a starter. But I would put all the resources towards starting pitching because that's their strength. That's always going to be their strength. They are never going to be an offense that's top five in all of baseball. They're not built like that. They don't acquire the talent like that. They don't draft like that. Pitching-wise, we've seen them be top five in ERA. We've seen them have a top five bullpen before. Get back to your roots. Get back to your strength. That's what I envision them doing this coming winter.
Yeah, just an update on the Red Sox. They were postponed last night, so no game
Perfect.
equals
I didn't hear
no
any updates,
loss
so I'm
equals winning streak still alive.
The winning streak still stands. We're going to take a break. On the other side of the break, I want to talk more about the starting pitching. Luinder Avila was spectacular last night. I want to hit on that and a little bit more revolving around the Kansas City Royals. Jack Johnson joined us this hour. More Zone coming up next. into the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michael Darcy, Jack Johnson, Deebs producing the operation. We've got a little breaking news. The Kansas City Royals are active on the trade market. They're trading for right-handed pitcher Nate Pearson from the Astros. Jack, initial reaction to the trade?
I like it a lot. These are the exact type guys that you should be throwing darts at and say, let's try out in the bullpen. Nate Pearson is probably the most enticing name of the handful of guys they've given minor league deals to. Back on Monday, they gave a minor league deal to Aaron Bummer, who actually was Alex Gordon's former roommate, I believe, at Nebraska. He was with the White Sox for years, with the Braves. Terrible ERA, bad numbers.
How old is Aaron Bummer?
He's probably in his late 30s. I'd venture a guess he's 38 now. But they've done it with Matt Moore, Vince Velasquez, Scott Barlow.
He's 32.
32. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else and it wasn't Bummer. Because Gordo, it wouldn't have been Gordo then. I know Bummer, I think, pitched in Nebraska. There was some story they used to have. I'm thinking of another reliever that was roommates with Alex Gordon. But it's aside from the point. They've thrown a lot of minor league deals with these guys, and then I'm sure we'll get opportunities to pitch out of the bullpen because the Royals' bullpen has been really bad this year. Has been much worse than expected. And we also can acknowledge they're going to be moving some of these bullpen guys at the deadline. They're going to be moving John Schreiber likely. They're going to be moving Matt Strahm. I'm sure somebody will just take Matt Strahm for a low-A guy or whatnot. They'll say, it's a left-hand reliever. We believe we can get more out of him. It's probably going to happen. I doubt. And if not, then I'm sure Matt Strahm would be DFA'd at some point this year. But Nate Pearson's somebody that a lot of people might forget was a huge prospect for the Blue Jays. He's a flamethrower. He was a starter at one point. We all know who Jacob Mizorowski is now, but I was telling you right before we got back from break, like Nate Pearson was Jacob Mizorowski before Mizorowski in terms of the velocity. He was the starter that was going to throw 101 to 102 consistently throughout the game. Big frame, like 6'6", 250. And he just never really worked out for the Blue Jays. They tried him as a reliever. It didn't really work out. The numbers have never really been there. Injuries have piled up. But here's why you take a shot on him. He's still averaging 98 miles an hour with the fastball. He's still a hard thrower. He's in the bullpen now, and that's where he's sticking. He's 29 years old. You give up a dart throw guy. I keep saying dart throws, but it's kind of what they are, lottery ticket guys. Like you're just randomly throwing a flyer on him, right? You're just trying to see if this guy could be anything. Or maybe you, like the Astros might just need depth right now in low A and just say, okay, well.
And the Royals need major league depth, too.
Yeah, and so you try this guy out and see what he's got. This is how, when I was filling for Seren a couple weeks ago, we had Jeff Passan on, he alluded to the Rangers and how they rebuilt their bullpen. It was just finding guys that other teams gave up on. It was just, well, this guy's got a 7.5 ERA in AAA. Let's pick him up off waivers. When somebody DFAs somebody, it's not like you're getting some big-time piece, but your analytics department, your pitching coaches, they're saying, hey, we think we can work with this guy. We want him to throw this pitch. Hey, we want him to drop this pitch, throw this pitch more. And Nate Pearson's the perfect guy to see if he works out. I mean, I would take a chance on 20 guys that throw 100 miles an hour. They can't command it. See if you can harness it. They can command it. Well, let's see if we can add more run to it. Let's see if we can add a secondary offering here. Let's say we can add a third pitch here. And I want to see them do more of this. At the trade deadline, if you believe they're going to get a ton for Lane Thomas, you're wrong. You believe they're going to get a ton for John Schreiber, you're wrong. Starling Marte, Daniel Lynch, even Michael Wacha, if they were to move him, they're not going to get a massive haul. These are the type of moves you will probably see more of, is a starter that has made 5 spot starts for someone. A guy that I've identified as Alan Ronhell of the Phillies. He's 28 years old, really good circle change. He doesn't throw incredibly hard, but the Phillies, like, they start him every once in a while, then he's in AAA, and he's been in the bullpen. Like, there's no room for him. And they're going to be a World Series contender. They also desperately need outfield help. Lane Thomas might fit that mold there. And if you say, oh, here's a guy who's, 28, but 4 years of control, not a lot of mileage on him, see what he's got in the second half. That was Stephen Kolek to a T. He was 29 years old, couple starts for San Diego, mostly out of the bullpen in AAA. You feel like you hit on Stephen Kolek for the most part, at least in terms of being a depth piece. So we'll see what Nate Pearson becomes. Maybe he's nothing. It did cost you a low-level prospect. Most everybody hadn't heard of this kid before they made this trade today.
Even if it doesn't work out, to your point, they have to just take more dart throws. They have to win on the margins. The Royals are not going to be a team that can thrive unless they hit on whether it's Stephen Kolek or Ryan Bergert or those type of trades. And I'm glad that they finally got somebody that can throw high 90s in the bullpen. It seems like they just have so many guys in the bullpen currently that are low 90s. And if you're not locating well, that's going over the fence. The Royals brought the fences in at Kauffman, and it hasn't really benefited them. It's benefited a lot of other teams. So I like Nate Pearson and just the velocity that he brings to that bullpen. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. What are they going to be, 22 games under 500 instead of 18? It's not really going to make that big of a difference in the long haul. But if he's good, that could be an option for 2027. So getting into last night's outing from Luinder Avila, I want to hit on this because I was looking at his Baseball Savant page, and a lot of his underlying metrics are a little bit concerning. But last night, he was really good against the Giants. He went a career-high 6 1/3, struck out 7 guys, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. What was your biggest takeaway from Avila's start, and is he a guy right now that is fighting to be a middle-of-the-rotation guy next year?
He is in that tryout actively for sure. I mean, if he finishes the second half well, you have to take that into account because of all the injuries you're dealing with. Cole Reagans won't be ready until mid-2027, and that's best case scenario. Stephen Kolek has the flexor strain. He's getting the second opinion. We'll see what comes of that. It always makes me really nervous because flexor strains can lead to things much worse like Tommy John. Ryan Bergert's recovering from Tommy John. You don't have an abundance of arms going into spring training, or the guys that you do have coming back. It's not like you're putting 170 innings on Ryan Bergert. You just can't do that. He might be a bullpen guy next year for all we know. But Avila finishing the second half strong gives him the upper hand. I mean, you go into camp saying, yeah, in my projections, he's the number 3 or number 4. And in spring training this year, when we asked Matt Quatraro about Luinder Avila, he said, we view him as a future number 1 or number 2 in a rotation. And it's easy to see why. He's got explosive stuff. He's got 97, 99 with movement. He spins his curveball incredibly well. He spins his slider incredibly well. His changeup needs to get a little bit better, but the fastball alone is tough for lefties to pick up. He's got a little bit of Brady Singer to him with that 2-seam sink action that can start at the hip, the front hip, and then just get right back over the inside part of the zone. That can be unhittable. And that, to me, is his next part of this. It's great to see Luinder Avila go throw 6 1/3, 2 earned runs, though one of it should have been 1 earned because Tolbert made that error. I'm not sure why the scoreskeeper overturned that, but hey, that's not my call. It's good to see him do that against the Giants. The Giants, if they lose today, will have a worse record than the Royals. Luinder Avila is also at home. He has been better on the road than at home, but we've seen some outings where, man, I mean, when it goes sideways for him, it goes sideways. He gave up 9 earned runs against the Astros, one of the best lineups in baseball, a couple months ago. He has since grown from then, and he had a really good outing against Washington right after that. But the Royals need to ask themselves the question early on in the offseason. What is best for the 2027 club? Not so much Luinder Avila. What version of Avila is best for the club? If you believe that he's a number 3 or number 2, which I doubt that, okay, then that means Noah Cameron, Stephen Kolek, Ryan Bergert, they're bullpen guys in 2027. Maybe not for the entire year, but going into the year, because I would imagine Lugo's back, I'd imagine Waka's back, and I would say that you need to add 2 arms to your rotation. If you don't add 2 arms, then that 1 arm you do add through free agency has to be an expensive arm. Like your opening day starter, your workhorse, your James Shields. You do that, then you got to be pretty confident that Luinder Avila is going to take a tremendous jump from this year to next year. If you're shaky on it, then let's see what he's got in the bullpen too. And maybe you just say, hey, 5th spot's open. We've got the rotation locked up 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 5 spots a battle between Avila, Kolek, Bergert, and whoever else you'd throw in there on a 1-year deal. If you have a couple minor league deal guys, let's see. Alec Marshall will be back, hopefully, in camp. I'm not saying he'd get it, but it's competition. You do that, then maybe that's okay. But what if Avila can throw 100 to 102 out of the bullpen? He's throwing 97 to 99 over the course of 6 1/3 and nearly 100 pitches. You give him 10 to 15 pitches to work with. You maybe drop the changeup and say fastball, curve, slider. That might be a really explosive arm. The Royals also have a recent player that they elected to go the starting pitching right. It was Bubic. Bubic was really good in the bullpen. They said, well, the value he can give you as a starter is far better than a good reliever. And they did get that right in the first half of last year, but then he's not been healthy since. And then you start to wonder if he was a really good bullpen arm, is he still pitching for us right now? Is he still a really good setup guy? We'll never know because they chose the route of the starter. Do they do things differently? And you got to factor in, Avila's 24, Bubic was entering his late 20s at that point. And them saying they view him as a future number 1 or number 2, he has a really strong finish to the second half. I would guess that he is a starter going into next year. If it's kind of hit and miss, then maybe we need to see what they add in free agency before we can accurately make that pick of what he's going to be next year.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up Avila to the bullpen because I actually kind of view him as a guy that could be either your 8th inning setup guy or your closer because of the heat that he does throw. Looking at his advanced analytics, though, he's in the 72nd percentile in hard hit percentage, which is a little bit concerning, but he doesn't really walk guys. And that could play, but the issue is he throws so fast, he gets hit hard. And that could almost be eerily reminiscent of a Lucas Ursig, where he's not commanding it well, and he throws hard, but even though he's dipped a little bit in his velocity this year, but he throws hard, and it's in the zone, and then it just gets hit. So going forward, is command the biggest thing that he has to work on?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I think that he's been hit hard before because the command is not as sharp as you'd like it to be. It's tough, though. When you've got 97 to 99 with that type of horizontal run, if you set it up, if you're trying to hit the middle of the plate, it's going to tail out to the outside corner, and that's what you kind of want it to do. But if you're slightly off to the left or the right, you're either getting crushed off a left-handed pitcher or it's way outside the zone. His command has gotten much better from where it was, and we have to keep in mind here that he hasn't really been a full-time starter in 4 years. Like, the most innings he's thrown at any level is 110, and that was in Columbia, I believe. So we're talking the Carolina League 4 years ago. He has been a starter. He has been a reliever.
Was he a reliever in the WBC, or was he a starter?
A reliever.
Okay.
Reliever, yeah. And he then was sent back, I believe, to camp before Venezuela had really gotten going in the tournament. But he had a couple of good outings, and that was very nice to see. The stuff is undeniable. And to me, with the underlying metrics, it is something we can take into account. You have to. It's out there. It's good knowledge. But it's not everything, right? We've seen guys have poor underlying metrics and still have a really good year. We've seen guys have tremendous baseball savant pages or good fan graph pages, and they're not very good. So to me, you take a little bit of the analytical side, you take a little bit of the eye test side, and I believe the eye test side has been passing recently. Even in some outings where he might have thrown 30 pitches in the first inning, he can still respond pretty well because what he has over every other guy in the rotation is effective wildness. It's hard as a hitter when you've got somebody throwing that hard that can't put it exactly where he wants to, because you don't know if you're going to be hit by the pitch. You don't know if you're going to see a fastball right down the middle of the first pitch and you get nothing close the rest of the AB. They know how to adjust to that, but we're starting to see him be more fine with that stuff. And he made a quick adjustment after he got bombed by Houston, where he was lining up on the, I believe, the outside of the rubber. So he was closer to the third base side, and he was all over the place. And so Brian Sweeney and Mike McFerrin, they got with him, and they lined him up in the middle. And when he was lining up in the middle, he got more command there, and he found more comfortability, and he was able to get ahead and use some of those great secondary pitches, and that's going to be key for him. It really is. Yes, he can be hit hard, but when he has put his pitches where he wants to, he's not getting hit hard. And that's going to come with growth. That we forget that he's only thrown 60-ish innings this year, and we've already seen some of the strides that he's been making. I want to see him go out there on the road against a really good team. His next outing, I believe, will be in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, because they'll miss him in the Detroit series.
They play 4 in Detroit, and then
they've got the off on Monday, and then they'll be at Target Field. That's a Twins team that's still competing. Like, I'd love to see him go out there and just shove for 6 innings. Just go out, and now that he's racking up the strikeouts, that's when you can tell somebody is coming to their own. Luinder Avila throwing 6 innings and striking out 2 guys, yeah, we'll take it. No doubt you'll take it. But 7 Ks and 1 walk over 6 1/3, that's something you go, okay, we can work with that. Because I'm not a believer in seeing starts where you have guys go 6 innings, they walk 5 and strike out 4. Like, you had some good fortune there. You had some good luck. You probably had some atom balls to the outfield. You had some atom balls at shortstop. But you were lucky to get through a quality start. There was nothing lucky about what Avila did last night. That was a clean, efficient, strong outing. And he had the Giants eating out of the palm of his hand. And even when they scored their runs, it was a couple of softly hit balls. One of them being that diving attempt from Jack Caglione. Another being a ground ball with eyes through the right side. Like, there was no at bat last night that I thought he just wasn't competitive whatsoever, or the Giants had an excellent at bat against him. They had some good at bats, but I didn't think they really squared him up all that well. In the first inning, he kind of looked like that old Lewinder Avila of hit the first battery face, gave up the single, and you're going, okay, well, now you might give up 3 or 4 here, and there goes your chance at winning the series the first 2 games in. But seeing the strikeouts go up, keeping that velocity up, that's the key for him, because he really does have that explosive stuff to be a frontline guy in any rotation in baseball.
I'm sure that double play made him breathe extremely
Especially
easy.
to Devers, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just have that sigh of relief saying, okay, got through the first inning. And then he settled in after that, and I almost wonder how much confidence has to do with it. He's 24 years old, hasn't really been in this spot for very long. This next start against the Twins will be very interesting, because if he goes out there and shoves again, that's back-to-back good starts, and then that will build on each other. And when you're looking at the rotation for 2027, a realistic scenario might be him being the 5th starter, especially because by the sounds of what you're talking about, Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo will be here in 2027, which that a lot could change before August 3rd. I'm not sure if the Royals will move off of their asking price. But if Avila is a 5th starter or a guy that can throw 102 out of the bullpen, like you said, that would be whatever way they can use him to get the best out of him. The Royals have to be in a position to maximize that player's value. They did it with Chris Bubich last year. They need to do this with Lewinder Avila going forward. We're going to take a quick break, wrapping up Hour 1 with Jack Johnson. You're listening to The Zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, man, if you're out there and you happen to be suffering from erectile dysfunction, then it is something that should be addressed, can be addressed with Heartland Men's Health. It is something that can cause breakups and arguments and depression and even contribute to divorce. And Heartland Men's Health can help you. Maybe you've tried the pills or the herbals and they have failed. Well, if that happens, Heartland Men's Health, they have treatments that work, including treatments with success rates well over 90%. Heartland Men's Health successfully treating men in the Kansas City area. Simply schedule a consult with Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit, $99. That includes a medical consult with a licensed medical provider, T and PSA test, and if medically advised a test dose. And if the test dose doesn't work...
Up hour number one. We'll talk to Jeff Montgomery in the 11 o'clock hour. I'll have to ask Monty about Bobby Witt Jr. and Jack Caglione playing right field, Luinder Avila. So, Jack, the Royals have won 4 of their last 5. They've won back-to-back series. Should we just expect them to go on a tear now? What does this mean?
I will stick my neck out there that they are going to be above 500 in the second half. Not because they're so much better in the second half, because they do have a lot of injuries they're dealing with, but they have the 27th hardest schedule in the second half here. There's going to be some easier teams they face, and they'll probably have some positive regression, is what they would call it.
On the bright side, I don't think we're going to have the conversation if it wasn't for the month of April, if it wasn't for the month of June, because it was...
No, this year, even if they do finish over, it's an absolute disaster. This has been a catastrophic year, and I wouldn't want to see this back-to-back years. I mean, last year was frustrating because they were right there. They were 82 and 80. They were a game out of a wild card spot in September, and they just couldn't get over the hump. The offense was never good enough. The pitching staff, when the offense did get hot, wasn't good enough. The bullpen had some hit and misses here and there. But this year's just been so tough to watch. So many things have gone south, and to see the American League be this wide open, and they have the second worst record in the American League. Yeah, I mean, what I've said before, and it can be taken as a positive, is it's finally the slap in the face and the wake-up call I believe the front office needed. Of 2024 was great. Nobody would trade that, of getting back to the postseason, winning a playoff series, a full season of competitive baseball. We would take that in a heartbeat. We'd take that every single year. It's not realistic to say, hey, build a World Series winner every single year. Yeah, every team, or most teams, try to do that. Not everybody does. But I would say that this is that slap in the face of, you made the playoffs because the White Sox were 43 and 119. They were terrible, and you went 12-1 against them, and you made the playoffs by a game. Like, to have that over somebody else was a huge positive. And so now it kind of tells you that, all right, we're closer to 500. We're probably not this bad, but we're not 86 and 76 good. We might be somewhere in that 75 and 87 range where you need to improve by 10 to 15 games. You need to improve to be an 85 and 77 team, and that's more than doable. And there should be nothing stopping the Royals from every single offseason trying to win the Central. There is no powerful force that you just can't compete with. They're not in the West. They're not in the National League West that has the Dodgers. They're not in the AL East, and even though the Yankees aren't winning that division right now, it's like they don't have the Yankees to worry about every single year. They do when they play them because they seemingly can't beat them. But they should go in this offseason and say, all right, this was a terrible year. The only way we make up for that is by spending $70 to $75 million in free agency and making some big trades.
It's interesting that you say that, and I don't disagree. I think the Royals have to spend this offseason, especially with the pending free agents, Bobby's opt-out coming up in 2031. But looking at the Guardians don't spend money. They just out-analytic everybody. So at what point is this not a spending issue, but more of an analytic issue?
Yeah, I mean, you still have to. You can spend a lot of money and be a bad baseball team.
Look at the Mets.
The Mets are a perfect example of that. You got to find the right guys. So it's not just, hey, go spend a lot of money. But I will say, it would make you more competitive. You've got some really good pieces you have drafted and developed on your team. Give them the help that they need. And the Guardians, yes, I mean, they are the pinnacle of consistency. They win this division a lot. They can win a playoff series or two. Last couple of years, these teams they've built have not been able to go toe-to-toe with the Yankees or some of those powerful teams, Mariners last year. But they need to be more aggressive to make sure that guys like Bobby Witt Jr. and Jack Caglione, Carter Jensen, they've got the help. This year, they really just didn't.
And there are stages of a rebuild. I don't expect the Royals to go out next offseason, spend a bunch of money, and then be on the Yankees level. I think a realistic expectation would be to go spend money, compete for the division, and you would be happy with that result.
Absolutely.
Jack, thank you so much. Jeff Montgomery coming up next.
in. Plus, I think some of the pitchers, I mean, now instead of seeing a Cole Reagans going out and doing it, last night you saw Luinder Avila go out and do it. So you're just seeing different names and faces filling in. Plus, you're seeing some of the regular guys you would expect to maybe have a higher level performance than we saw earlier in the season. You're starting to see them play at their level that you would expect them to play at.
Well, I want to hit on Luinder Avila because he was absolutely spectacular tonight. A season-high 7 strikeouts, gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, went a career-high 6 1/3 innings. What did you see from Avila last night?
Well, he has tremendous stuff, and his ability to get ahead of hitters and then expand the strike zone when he needs to. But he's one of those pitchers. His stuff's so good he can get out there in the strike zone too. And he just had such life, especially on his two-seam fastball last night. A lot of hitters gave up on it, and I always oftentimes kind of judge an appearance by pitcher by one, the amount of whiffs that he gets. By that I mean how many swings and misses, and also by the amount of takes for strikes, because when a hitter takes a ball for a strike, or I should say a pitch for a strike, that means that he's been beat. I mean, he sees the ball from the pitcher's hand. It appears to be out of the zone, and it has such life and such finish that it finishes in the strike zone and essentially locks up the hitter. That's a really good sign when pitchers are getting those called strikes. That's a really good sign, and we saw a lot of that from Avila last night. And again, there's never really been much question about his stuff. It's just a matter of can he command it. And now we're starting to see a young man who's really put a lot of work into refining his mechanics to the point where he can consistently go out, get ahead of hitters, fill up the strike zone, and finish hitters off. And we saw that on display last night. So he's certainly moving in the direction you would want to see him moving in.
How much does defense play a factor when Avila starts? Because one thing that I noticed last night is that he pitched to his defense and they helped him out a lot.
Well, they have a game plan, and they put a lot of thought and a lot of work into the game plan. You know, you got those 2 really, really big double play balls. You got the one in the first inning off of Rafael Devers, which to me went from an inning that could have got out of control, got out of hand, to where he was able to make the pitch and get the ground ball. Michael Massey turned a nice double play, and suddenly around that inning with a really low pitch count instead of having an inning with a run or 2 on the scoreboard and maybe a 20-plus pitch inning. He has a very manageable 0 on the board. So it kind of set the tone early, but again, they put so much work into this game plan, and for the pitcher to go out and be on the same page with the catcher who's working alongside with that defensive alignment, you have to pitch to your defense if you're going to make those adjustments as far as how you align your infielders, where you put them in place, and then for the pitcher to do exactly that, and that's to make the pitch the catcher is working on to get it into execute in order to allow that ground ball double play or to allow that weak contact, whatever it might be. The pitcher has to buy into it, and we've seen a lot of progress. I mean, Carter Jensen, to me, has really improved dramatically during the course of the year, but it's somewhat overwhelming the amount of work that has to go into putting yourself in those positions to help your pitcher understand what he needs to do, and then for the pitcher to have the confidence in you to go out and stick with that plan and to execute those pitches necessary in order for it to have the results you want. You don't always get them because you can only control a certain amount, but you just stack the odds as much as you can in your favor in order to get the results that you're looking for.
How much do you think getting out of that first inning unscathed, especially after hitting the leadoff batter, maybe propelled him into having a career high in innings pitched?
Well, think about it. I mean, it went from being an inning where you got a manageable pitch count with, I always say 12 to 15 pitch innings. Those are going to keep you in the game a long time. If you have a 20, 22, 24 pitch inning in the first inning, it's certainly going to limit your ability to be in the game very long. So I think that was certainly key in him really kind of setting the tone for what the balance of his game was going to be.
So another thing that took place in last night's game, Jack Caglione left the game in the 6th inning after he landed awkwardly on his right shoulder attempting to rob a hit from Jesus Rodriguez. He's day-to-day, Bobby's day-to-day with the back tightness, but they're going to do more tests on Jack to figure out what the issue is. Is there a long-term concern with a player of his size and stature playing right field?
Well, I think he's athletic. I don't think there's an issue with that. He's going to just go out and do his thing. Every player is going to subject themselves occasionally to some kind of a risk factor, and that's just part of baseball. It's a non-contact sport, but there always seem to be some kind of contact involved, whether it be running into a wall, diving for a base, trying to make a diving catch. All those things kind of come into play, but I don't think there's any concern with that. I think that's just something that's going to be part of the game and something that you deal with as you need to. And I think certainly, there's certain players who maybe are a little bit more dangerous, but I think Cagliano's so athletic, he will be just fine.
Going back to your point on Carter Jensen and the improvement that he's made this year, how has he developed behind the plate where now he is almost caught up with the bat?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just kind of understanding the workload involved, how to manage your day with regards to getting a game plan with the coaching staff and with the pitchers. It's no longer to show up to the ballpark and look at a couple of reports and then go out, take your batting practice, play a game. Now there's a whole lot that goes into it, using all of the advanced metrics with regards to tendencies, hitters' strengths and weaknesses, who the pitcher is on the mound that day. I think it's just kind of coming together for him. We saw a lot of situations earlier in the season where, there was some situation where the balls in the dirt were getting past Carter Jensen, and now we're seeing him blocking those balls better. So just a lot of things are kind of all coming to fruition now. His caught stealing rate is outstanding with regards to, controlling that running game, which is a big part of it. Pitchers play a key role in that as well, but, Carter's just, he's had to work really hard, probably more of a workload than he's ever had to experience. And now I think it's just kind of a routine more than it is just a lot of the new factors involved when you're first expected to do all the things that a catcher has to do in the big leagues nowadays.
I think a lot of people forget, too, he is a rookie this year, and there are different expectations when you end up going through your rookie season, and he's been one of the better bats in the Royals lineup. But I do want to ask you, since the All-Star break, the Royals are 4-1. They've won back-to-back series. How much does the All-Star break help with the mental and physical reset of the game?
Well, it's big. Season lasts, basically 6 months, and if you throw spring training on there, you're looking at probably 7.5 to 8 months of baseball. And with spring training, the season starting up until the All-Star break, I mean, you literally have, just a huge part of the calendar year where you come to the ballpark every day and performing, getting ready, all the work you put in, and the grind of the game itself. So when you get those 4 days off at the All-Star break, it can do two things. One, physically, your body gets that downtime that it certainly needs at that time of the year, especially when the temperatures start to heat up and it just becomes more of a grind physically to go out there and perform. And two, if you had a good first half, you want to just go in the second half and keep that thing going. If you had a poor first half, then you can say, okay, here's a kind of a line we're going to draw, and we're going to look moving forward. How can we be better? What can we do to improve ourselves? And it's almost, I compare it a lot like playing golf. You can go out and have a really, really bad front nine, but you get to the turn and you say, okay, back nine matters here. I'm going to do what I need to do to make the adjustments to be better on the back nine. And it's kind of like what they're playing the back nine of the golf course right now with the season. So I think it's just a mental break, and it's also a physical break that essentially allows the players to reset, push that button, and then move forward and hopefully allow things to be better. And certainly we've seen that with this team, the way they've come out of the gate during the second half.
One of the players that you mentioned a few minutes ago was Vinny Pasquantino. He's hitting the ball really well as of late. How much, and he would never admit this, could that hamate bone have been affecting him before he ended up getting shut down for a bit? And how does that maybe translate into him seeing the ball better and hitting the ball better the second half?
Well, think about how important a grip is to about any sport, but particularly in baseball. When you've got to grip a baseball, you've got to grip a bat, you got to do all the things with your hands. And if you have any issues going on in your hands, it's going to limit your ability to perform at the level you need to. And I think a lot of it went in. I think a lot of the hamate issues were bothering him before he actually broke that hamate bone. So in other words, I think the workload that he was putting in, trying to get himself on track and trying to, because he struggled so much early in the season, I think all the work he was putting in was probably just kind of eventually leading up to where he did break that hamate bone. But I think it bothered him quite a bit before he actually had to go on the IL with the with the situation when he did break the bone. So I know he would make excuses. No one likes to hear excuses, but sometimes you have to look at why things are going on. And certainly I think that had a lot to do with why Vinny was struggling, because now he looks very normal. I know he's not 100% healed from the surgery to remove that bone, but he's centering baseballs much better. I think the other thing that it does for Vinny is it allows him to be that patient hitter that we've grown to know. When you see Vinny taking borderline pitches that are balls, that tells me that he's back where he needs to be, because he's a hitter that always has been very selective at the plate. He'll take his walks when given to him, but when you're struggling and you're trying to get yourself out of that, that batting average is below 200, you start pressing and you start swinging at pitches that you probably ordinarily would not be swinging at. So I think it's just allowing him to kind of get back to where he needs to be, and he's got a lot of baseball left there in the second half. So hopefully he's able to turn things around and be the contributor like we saw him last night with the 2 hits and the big RBI.
With all the injuries that are currently mounting, is Vinny Pasquantino one of the X factors for this offense in the second half?
Well, he can be. We know he's in his DNA. It's all about RBIs, and when he's given opportunities to drive in runs, he's one of the guys you want to have at the plate. And it was Bobby Witt Jr. going on the IL with that back situation today. It's going to be more incumbent on some of these guys that need to go out and make the adjustments and be the performers. Now, Bobby, before going on the IL after the break, don't think he had a hit. The Royals still have won 4 out of 5 games. So, I mean, he's obviously one of the best players in the game, but other guys stepping up, doing a good job, making some things happen.
How has Nick Lofton just been the guy that has been so clutch over the past couple of days? Kind of speaking to your point about how even when Bobby goes down, the Royals win 4 or 5. How much have the other guys in this lineup stepped up in his absence?
Well, it's an opportunity, and that's really what you hope will happen. Some guys are maybe not equipped to play 150 to 160 games a year. Some guys are. The guys that aren't, when they're given opportunities to play, they're going to go out and perform. Nick Lofton was a first-round draft choice, so he's not a player that you're saying was drafted to become a bench player. I think Nick Lofton has the ability to be an everyday player. And he's been really good, especially in clutch situations. His batting average and OPS, in the second half of ball games, is skyrocketed this season. He's had a lot of career highs already established this season, but just opportunity oftentimes is what it takes for players who have that ability, but just oftentimes aren't given the opportunity because somebody's ahead of them in the position they play. So he's adapted really well to being the guy who comes off the bench. I think he's learned a lot from some of the veteran guys, maybe like a Lane Thomas, who's helped him understand what it's like, to not being playing every day. And it's just one of those things where when you're given that opportunity and you get consistent plate appearances, you're probably going to perform better. It's just a matter of, are you built durability-wise to do that over a long 6-month period where you do it every day? I've seen a lot of players who are really good. Maybe say when someone goes on the injured list, someone comes in to fill in for them. They're really good for the first week or maybe 2 weeks, and then suddenly, the fatigue sets in a little bit because they're just not built the same way that some of the guys that are playing every day are. I mean, they don't have the physical ability to go out and play at that level every day. They're really good in short spurts, but not great, for what I'll call the marathon. So, but Nick Lofton, given the opportunity, he's done a nice job. And talking about opportunity, Lane Thomas, now that he's been given consistent playing time. We're seeing the Lane Thomas that how he played earlier in earlier in his career when he was an everyday player. So it's great when those guys are given opportunities, and then when they are given those opportunities, they cash in, they take advantage of them.
How much do these expanded opportunities help the Royals evaluate what the roster might look like next year?
Well, you want to see as many opportunities for judgment and evaluation as you can. So I think the more exposure you get to some of the guys who you don't know exactly what you have, the better off you are as far as evaluating those guys. So it's unfortunate when you're kind of forced into it due to injuries, but when that happens, I think it's something that you want to do your best to take advantage of it.
I want to ask you about Lucas Erceg, and I'm sure you've talked about Lucas Erceg a lot over the past couple of weeks, but he's given up 5 runs in his last 2 1/3 innings. How much of this in July is confidence related versus command issues?
It's probably a little bit of both. I think what happens is when you are getting beat up a little bit, you get away from maybe the confidence you need to challenge hitters. And I don't care who the pitcher is. If you're ball 1, ball 2, you're pitching these 2-1 counts, 3-1 counts on a consistent basis, good things are likely not going to happen very often. And I think what's happened with Lucas is he's gotten maybe a little bit away from getting ahead and trusting his stuff and allowing himself to then have the put away pitches that are his changeup and the slider. I think he's using a lot of his off pitches in fastball counts, to try to get ahead. And sometimes we call it pitching backwards. But certainly his stuff's there. It's hard to imagine how anyone with the type of stuff he has had the struggles that he's encountered this season. And I think when I'll use Alex Lang as an example. Alex struggled a lot early in the season. He was behind hitters a lot. He wasn't, getting ahead of hitters. And I know he had the 2 home runs in those back-to-back games with 2 outs in the 9th inning, but he made some pretty quality pitches. He just got beat, and that happens. And it gets magnified when it happens in 2 days in a row. But like last night, we saw Alex Lang win, challenge the strike zone, get ahead of hitters, and then put hitters away. And that's what essentially every pitcher needs to be able to do. And with the stuff that Lucas Erceg has, I think once he gets back to using his fastball more, especially early in counts to get ahead, then he can use those off pitches, what I'll call strike the ball pitches, to put hitters away.
Is this a situation where I know the Royals at times this season have tried moving him to different innings and testing those leverage moments? Is this one of those situations where you can't really simulate the 9th inning of a 1-run game and you just have to go out there and do it?
Well, sometimes you can try to talk yourself into a situation where you feel like you're pitching in a 1-run baseball game, whether it be the 6th inning in a mop-up game where it's 11-1. You try to create the situation where it's really, hey, let's pitch like it's a 3-2 game. And that's great to be able to do that in your mind, but realistically that's not the case. But sometimes you get in a situation where it's not just trying to get back on track. You're trying to essentially save your role or save your roster spot because your lack of performance is going to dictate that you're not going to be out there much longer. And I think that sometimes is when you get to that pivotal point where suddenly you don't have to try to recreate a 1-run game. Regardless of the score, you're pitching for your baseball life, and it puts you in a much more urgency mode as far as making sure that you get back to where you need to be.
Jeff Montgomery is our guest. Monty, a couple more for you. Salvi's 1 home run shy of tying George Brett's franchise record of 317. When will he break this record?
I would say it's going to be on the road. I don't see him hitting 2 home runs today, but you never know about Salvador Perez. When he gets hot, he has the ability to get really hot. So he went through that home run drought, essentially during the month of June and most of July. Last 3 or 4 games, he's looked like a different Salvador Perez. So he very well could do it today, but I would say with the 10 games coming up on a road trip, especially two of the cities that he hits really well in. He hits great at Target Field, and almost anyone can hit great in Denver with that launch pad. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But I'd love to see him do it this afternoon, but I think it's more likely he's going to do it on the road trip.
And Target Field just looks like one of those places that it's going to happen. It seems almost too good to be true at this point. But Monty, final question for you. If you had one thing to point to for optimism from this stretch, what would it be?
Well, I think you've got some guys coming back from a health standpoint. You're going to probably have Kyle Isbell back fairly soon. Hopefully, Michael Garcia back soon. So suddenly you've got your a lot of your core players, and hopefully Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be fine after a short stint on the injured list. So you're going to have more of your what I'll call your regular players, the players that are on your opening day roster out there performing on a daily basis. I just think it puts you in a better position to have successes. The guys, in the rotation and the bullpen, all your pitching staff, they have to find a way to be more consistent. They just have not been as consistent during the course of the season as you would like to see them be. We had a tremendous consistency from the rotation before the injuries hit, and then once those injuries hit, it seemed like things were, kind of iffy. They need to get back to being solid performers like we saw with Avila last night. We know Michael Walker is going to be out there. Seth Lugo today hopefully is going to have another good game like he had in his previous outing against the Padres. So I just think you need to have more consistent basis, but getting those regular players back, I think it'll put you in a position where there's a better chance of that happening.
That's Jeff Montgomery. Monty, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you next week.
I got it. Thanks, Michael.
More Zone coming up next. into the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michael Darcy filling in for Jason Anderson. Sterling Holmes playing hooky today. Deebs producing the operation. It's cool to see Deebs doing my job and Deebs watching me do Jason's job. It's like one giant triangle.
Through the looking glass.
Through the looking glass. It's definitely interesting looking at you from this side of the table, this side of the glass. But in this segment, we are going to discuss a piece of news that we got this morning right before this show started, that the Kansas City Chiefs released renderings for their new stadium. And the renderings are not that different than the renderings we got when they initially announced the move back, would have been, November of last year?
December
of
right
last
around
year.
Christmas time, because I remember I was filling in for Jake, and Nate was filling in for Steven. This was literally the week after Christmas they came out with it, I'm pretty sure.
It all happened very quickly.
Yes, it did. It did kind of sneak up. Well, we all knew it was coming, but then we had known it was coming for a long time. And then the day it happened, it was like, oh, I guess it's actually happening. It was kind of a whirlwind of emotions for a lot of people, I understand.
Well, we've seen different renderings over the years. I remember when the vote to keep Arrowhead Stadium in Jackson County came along, there was that rendition of expanded suites, maybe a entertainment district.
Yeah.
It wasn't even an entertainment district. There was
like new walkways,
Yeah,
stuff
new
like that. It was
walkways.
like a little turf football field and a tailgate area.
a lot of stuff was just improving upon what they already had in place. And the criticism at the time was the money needed for the renovation would have been to expand the suites, but maybe not do a lot for the overall stadium in general. But now with the Chiefs moving to Kansas, we have official renderings. The Chiefs are working with the architect local company, Manica, which is good that this is staying local. And just looking at the renderings initially, it essentially looks like they put Arrowhead Stadium inside of a SoFi dome. It looks like SoFi Stadium roof with Arrowhead Stadium as the rest of it. So it's not very original, at least by initial renderings. I'm sure that once it's time to actually build this thing, it will be a little bit different. It'll be state-of-the-art by 2031, but not really a lot to take away from the initial rendering. It just looks like Arrowhead Stadium with a glass roof on top of it. I will say, and this will be a topic for conversation, the roof is not retractable. And that was one thing that we were all clamoring for, is that make the roof retractable, because there are going to be some games where the weather's nice in Kansas City in October and early November, where you want that element of the weather playing a factor on nice days, but just not so much on days where it's -13.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many games in that October, early November window where it's just such a lovely day, and you're not anticipating it being as nice as it is, and it's just an absolute treat of a weather day out at Arrowhead Stadium. So a little bit of a bummer that the roof was not retractable, like you said. I'm a little bummed by that.
I was bummed about the roof, but I will say I was pleasantly surprised just looking at the Chiefs website. It's a $3 billion state-of-the-art stadium. Again, it's going to be ready by 2031. They're going to have to get a move on if they want to have that done by 2031. But initially, when we were talking about the capacity of the stadium, you saw some numbers that reflected a massive cut in the amount of fans that would be able to attend. And the expected total capacity of the new stadium is approximately 70,000 fans. So it's still fewer than can currently attend a game at Arrowhead. I think the capacity is 77,000 as of right now.
Yeah,
so
77,000.
7,000 cut, but it's not 65,000. It's not 60,000.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the newer stadiums we've seen, like the Atlanta Falcons, for instance, that stadium is smaller than the old Georgia Dome. Tennessee is moving to a smaller stadium. I think a lot of the teams are building these stadiums to be smaller, more suite areas, all that jazz. So it is kind of nice. It's not as small as we thought, like you said. But, it's a little refined. It's 70,000. So it's still a big stadium, but it's not 15,000 smaller than 77. It's, half of that.
And the hope will be that 70,000 have a more comfortable game day experience. And part of the game day experience that was questioned when the Chiefs announced that they would be moving to the Kansas side is, what would the tailgating aspect look like? Because tailgating is synonymous with Sundays in Kansas City, especially during football season. And there was a fear by a portion of the fan base that tailgating would just go away because there's no longer the infrastructure to do it, even though the infrastructure is a parking lot. But there will be more than 20,000 parking spots. It's not, I should look up what the parking capacity is at Arrowhead Stadium now. It's got to be close to that number. They're moving out into a space where there's a lot of grass, there's a lot of places to put those parking spots, but I think it's important to mention that the reason the Chiefs are moving to the state of Kansas is not because they just want to have a brand new shiny stadium. While that is part of it, the overarching reason for the move is because the Chiefs can build around the new Arrowhead Stadium, whether it's Chiefs Stadium or whatever they end up calling it. They can build infrastructure around that stadium to generate revenue. We talked about it a lot with Kauffman Stadium moving downtown. They will be able to build an entertainment district, an area that can generate funds for the team. It's not as prevalent in football. There are some entertainment districts, but now the Chiefs can have more hotels, more, things around the new Arrowhead Stadium that will provide more of a tourist destination for fans coming from out of town, coming from out of state, coming from out of the country. There will be more places to stay. There will be more things to do. There's a couple casinos in the Legends. There's obviously Great Wolf Lodge. There's going to be... Did Margaritaville just open up down in the Legends? I could be wrong about that.
I think so.
Maybe,
we'll get on that. We'll start looking that up.
Jack, look that up. But there's just more things currently located in the Legends. And by 2031, the amount of things that could be built up by that time, it is going to be a good destination for the new football stadium.
Can confirm. Margaritaville is open.
How long has it been open? I probably should have known that.
We'll get Jack on this.
This is why we have an intern. This is important knowledge that we need to impart on the listeners. I feel like it's
Keep
relatively
him on his
new.
toes, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, got to give him something to do. We don't put him to work enough. Normally, it was just me back there. I'm like, hey, we got to get Rotten Tomatoes movies.
Wow, it opened in June of 2025. We were a little late to this.
We're super... Breaking news.
I might have to go out there.
Margaritaville is open in the Legends. For those of you that did not know. That is my learn for next week. But I do think that this is going to be a great location for the new stadium. And I understand there's a portion of the fan base that are upset that the Chiefs are moving to the Kansas side of things. I don't care where they play. The important thing to me is that they stay in the Kansas City area. And the option to stay at Arrowhead Stadium is not an option that realistically was possible after the vote got turned down a couple years ago. So we can't have this discussion of, well, they should have stayed in Missouri. Missouri had a chance. And then Kansas ended up swooping in and made them a better offer. But just seeing some of the, renderings of what the stadium will look like, it is exciting to get a dome. It is exciting to see the potential for future events in Kansas City. Kansas City just hosted the biggest sporting tournament in the world. The World Cup, the amount of people that were tuned in watching Switzerland, Argentina in that matchup at Kansas City Stadium, Arrowhead Stadium, trumps a Super Bowl. It trumps any sort of event that Kansas City has ever put on from a viewership perspective. You could even go on to the very beginning of the World Cup where Messi scored a hat trick. That game broke viewership records. So to have the infrastructure now to host the World Cup when it eventually comes back to the United States, don't know when that will be, but to host another World Cup, to host a Super Bowl, because the Chiefs will get a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. When the stadium is built, they will more than likely get a Super Bowl within that 2031, 2037 timeframe. We're talking about Final Fours. We're talking about concerts year-round. Arrowhead concerts are great now, but you wouldn't want to go to an Arrowhead concert in December. The weather is not exactly conducive to that. But now there will be a venue that can put Kansas City more on the map. And as somebody who wants to see the city expand, the city grow, more people coming to the city and falling in love, I think that's why the World Cup was so great, is seeing the amount of foreign tourists or even people that live in the country that just wanted to watch Argentina play or one of the teams that were base camped in Kansas City. the amount of people that came to the city that we all love and are having that moment where they realize what exactly we've been talking about, that Midwestern vibe. It's, an enjoyable place to be. The people are friendly. The atmosphere is great. That is what I want more people to experience, and that will be now more plausible with expanded venues to host more events. And there's actually some interesting economics behind, is it beneficial to host a Super Bowl? Because a lot of the times the cities end up over-preparing and the tourism numbers don't exactly match the expected rate. And so some businesses end up losing money but it's a novelty. To host a Super Bowl, that is something special for your city. And there's no doubt that there will be some businesses that prosper economically, but I'm excited to see what these renderings could lend in 2031. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. More Zone on the other side. We're going to talk to Graphic Raider of OLV Raiders Network in the 12 o'clock hour. We'll also talk to Ben of Sports Talk Denver after that. A lot to go in this show. We got Mick Schaefer at 1, Rotten Tomatoes. More Zone coming up next. Welcome back into the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michael Darcy filling in for Jason Anderson and Sterling Holmes, who decided to leave me on this Wednesday in July. It's big vacation time here at the station. Big vacation time.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. It's almost like there's not much going on.
You know, it's you'd think it would be a good time to take a vacation because it's kind of there's not a lot to talk about, but that's actually a bad time to take a vacation because there's not a lot to talk about. So it's a double-edged sword, but you know, we were talking about during the break, I found out that there's currently 19,000 spaces at the Truman Sports Complex with like room for 400 buses.
And you said last segment the new stadium should have, what,
20,000. 20,000 plus. So more room to tailgate, which is, that tradition's not going anywhere. And that's why it would be such a foolish take to say, oh, well, they're moving stadiums so we can't tailgate now. As if tailgating is done other places than a parking lot with the guys and gals you do it with. Now, I think Deebs learned I've actually never tailgated.
Yeah, that was a little shocking, Mike. I'm not going to lie to you. I know you watch the games differently, the podcast and whatnot about them, but I'm a little shocked that you've never been to a tailgate at Arrowhead.
Well, see, it's been difficult because
you've lived in Lawrence, too.
I've lived in Lawrence, but I actually worked for the Chiefs on the Pyro team for a while. So I was on the clock. I was on the job, so I wasn't necessarily able to partake in any adult beverages. But it's funny because just walking around in the parking lot, I mean, I've been in the atmosphere.
Oh, the vibe is
incredible.
Immaculate, yes.
Now, we did have a couple people, not trying to out them on this show, we did have a couple people on the Pyro team, people that I was not exactly close with, that would go partake in some of these festivities, and they would come back maybe not as well equipped to do their job, which when you're pushing tons of pounds in equipment, that's not ideal. It's not great.
Yeah, pyrotechnic equipment, nonetheless.
Well, it's funny because I tell people I was on the Pyro team, and while that's technically true, I was just a giant moving dummy. I would push down the
human forklift, yeah.
Essentially, yeah. I would just push the giant arrowheads into place and make sure that once you heard the home of the Chiefs and then the loud pops and the flyover, get that stuff off the field as quickly as humanly possible. And sometimes there's a little bit of injury associated with that. I'll leave it at that. But no, so I've never tailgated. And that's something that going forward, I would absolutely love to try.
Yeah, we're going to have to change that. I've been tailgating with the same people for a long time. We'll get you out there.
So what is a proper tailgate? Because I've had this conversation with multiple people. There's some people that will lean into the yard games. They'll throw a baseball, throw a football. You got cornhole set up. There's I've seen some people throwing, which I don't think are. It's kind of hard to play lawn darts on concrete now that I think about it. I've seen people throw what would be like a lawn dart on concrete.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So
you just got to have a lot of darts.
a lot of darts, and are they like special darts that stick to the concrete?
I don't know. I've played it where you stand beers on the concrete and you just try to throw the dart into the beer.
That's brilliant.
And if it hits the beer, then you open it and drink it real quick.
I haven't even thought about the pong
That was the
setup.
variation that I played out there.
How frequent do you see a table getting set up and pong being played? I haven't even thought about that.
I haven't noticed that in a minute.
That's very frat.
When I go out there now, I don't drink anymore, so I'm pretty much in charge of the grill. We meet up with 30 or so people from around town, Iowa, down by the lake, Topeka. I mean, we just kind of got to know all these people from parking near them for a while. It was, hey, do you have this? Do you have this? And we just became friends with them, got in a big group text, and now that's been going for about 9 years now with that big group.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast. It's one of the more fun things I do.
See, and I don't knock anybody for drinking during a tailgate. That's a American rite of passage right there.
Oh, believe me, yeah.
But I definitely enjoy grilling. Like, if you're going to grill out, make burgers, make dogs, I can partake in the delightful tailgating without drinking a whole lot. Now, I know that we have a very interesting dynamic on this show where Sterling never turns down a good ICB. Jason will turn down an ICB. I am in the middle. I am the mediator in this debate because depending on the circumstance, I could see myself partaking and having a few. But I would enjoy the grilling out aspect. In fact, we had a guy that was on the Pyro team that would go out during the break we had and would he would bring food that he brought, but he would throw it on a grill. So I guess it kind of counts as tailgating, but I have not partaken in a full-fledged, this is a tailgate where there's sides, where there's actually burgers and
Right,
dogs.
where you're getting out there waiting for the gates to open, and then you get to your spot that you park in every time. I mean, that's how we operate. I mean, it's half the fun's getting out there before the gates open, and just horsing around in the line, throwing the ball around, and then you get in there, you mad dash, settle your stuff up. Everyone comes, you chit chat, throw the ball around a little bit more, you grill, people have their drinks and whatnot, and then you get fired up, listen to music, and all right, let's go in there. Let's go get a win today. It's a fun day.
It's a full day affair. That is one thing.
Oh yeah, 14-hour day.
I recognize that very early on because on the Pirate team we were required to get to the stadium like 8-ish. Or no, 6 or 7 hours early, and so a lot of the time you'd be coming off the highway, and the employees have a separate entrance. A lot of the time the media has a separate entrance as well, and they take the same. And so a lot of the time there would be so many Chiefs fans backed up on the highway, they would have to open the gates early to allow employees to get in to do their job. So Chiefs fans have always showed up and showed out on game day, and that's why it'll be awesome to see the new tradition that is built on the Kansas side, where there is more parking spaces, maybe more room to tailgate. Now, instead of being forced to tailgate because there's a Denny's that burned down a couple of years ago, now you've got other food options if you maybe don't want to bust the grill out. Maybe you want to go pregame, get a bite to eat at Margaritaville or wherever, the restaurants that are built out there, and then you want to come drink a couple beers in the parking lot. That becomes an option, but it'll be very interesting to see. We're going to talk to graphic writer of OLV Raiders Network coming up next.
You're year 2 in the rebuild. You can possibly go out there and perform way better than you did the year before. But it all really boils down to health-wise. And Max, again, never failed a physical. I mean, he would have never passed it anyway. Literally, the surgery took place in January. That was a whole ploy with Baltimore to get their draft picks back. And, their draft pick, both their draft picks back, but then go ahead and get Trey Hendrickson, a guy who's also dealing with injuries. And
he's also older, too, which is a little funny.
Right? Yeah, so I don't know what Baltimore is doing, but again, I do believe that Spytek will stick to his guns. And if Max is performing at a high clip, there's going to be a team there that, like, it could be possibly the Philadelphia Eagles, the Seattle Seahawks, a team that feels like they can go on a run and possibly win it, and they just need some edge help, and Max can be that. Again, I think you could get possibly 2 first-round picks, but again, they'll probably be later-round picks. Or later in the first. But again, I mean, I think if Max does move, which I don't believe he will, I believe he wants to remain a Raider now and wants to retire there. But if they come together and say, hey, it's time, I think that Spytek's still going to stick to his guns and get those 2 first-round picks.
Okay, good to know. Final question for you, Graf. What is your hottest Raiders take for the 2026 season? Kind of putting you on the spot here. Are they going to compete for the division? Are they going to compete with the Chiefs? Are they going to sweep the Kansas City Chiefs? What's your hottest prediction?
Okay, so I'll do this. Again, Kirk Cousins, Fernando, it doesn't really matter at the quarterback position. You have to have the ground attack right for a rookie quarterback or a guy who's going to be 38 years old later on in the year. So I'll have a crazy hot take here, but I think that maybe the Raiders can lead the league in rushing.
Okay.
If Afton Jeanty can turn that corner in year 2. Mike Washington goes out there. We went and got Roman Hemby as a UDFA, Fernando's sparring partner at Indiana. We still got our guy, Dylan Laube. I think they're going to unlock this upcoming season. The Raiders can possibly lead the league in rushing, and that can equal a lot of wins if you can run the football in the National Football League. So I'll throw that out there. Hot take. The Raiders can possibly lead the league in rushing.
That'd also be a very good thing for rookie quarterback Fernando Mendoza. But, Graf, great stuff as always, my friend. I appreciate you so much for coming on the show.
My brother, man. You have a blessed day.
More Zone coming up next. Welcome back into the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michael Darcy filling in for Jason Anderson and Sterling Holmes, who decided to take his vacation today. Deebs doing my job, producing this operation on the other side of the glass. Huge thanks to Graphic Raider of OLV Raiders Network for joining in the last segment. Really interesting conversation, giving an inside look at what the Raiders are currently doing. A lot is going on in Vegas. It's a regime change, and with a regime change, could mean a lot of instability, but the Raiders have been the pinnacle of instability for the last 25 years. So can Clint Kubiak get things back on track? That'll be a really interesting question. And Deebs, something that I talked with him about that I want your thoughts on, it seems like, and I'll talk about this with Ben from Sports Talk Denver, it seems like it is a two-team race in the AFC West. It's Chiefs-Broncos. Looking at the last two winners, could the Raiders maybe be a cog in that machine, meaning if the Chiefs play the Raiders very well and then they continue to handle business and sweep them, then they're going to have a better chance to win the division. But if the Raiders are sneaky good, play upset a little bit, that could affect who wins the West.
Yeah, and it all stems down to, you think the Raiders are going to win games they shouldn't? A handful of games, 2 or 3 games, that historically in the past few years they wouldn't have won. And I think that's a possibility this year with a little more, I don't want to say hope, because it's the Raiders. I mean, it's been really bad of late. But are they going to be a good enough team to win some games they shouldn't win? And I think they might, and that would shake up the bag in the division. It might open the door for the Chargers. It might open the door for the Chiefs and make them sit atop the division again. It might help Denver. It might hurt any of those 3 teams. You'll just have to wait and see. But, yeah, the Raiders, depending on the quarterback they're playing and if some of these defensive moves work out, they could be a pretty interesting team that still comes in last but could make some noise.
The question will be, can the Raiders be respectable? They've been the doormat of the AFC. They've been the doormat of the NFL, along with the New York Jets. Just looking at their record in the West over the past 3 years, in 2023 they were 2-4. In 2024 they were 2-4 in the division, and last year they were 1-5, with their only win coming against the Kansas City Chiefs. Can that change going forward? If it does, the AFC West will be one of the best divisions in football. And we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of this break, I'm going to talk to Ben from Sports Talk Denver, get his thoughts on the Denver Broncos, and if the Chiefs are the biggest rivals to the Broncos in the West. More Zone coming up next. welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, I'm behind enemy lines, the scariest team in the AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I'm glad that you admitted that, because that was going to be one of my first questions is, actually, you know what? Let's lead off with this. Give me the Bo Nix injury update. Clearly, Sean Payton is saying some things. Bo Nix is saying other things. Where is Bo Nix at in this injury recovery timeline?
You know, it's really interesting, and I never believed you when you would tell me that all of the outside noise around the Kansas City Chiefs for all these years, you would always tell me, hey, Ben, that is so overblown. And I always thought you were just like saying that as a coping mechanism.
Nope.
I think you were right that when you were at the top, everybody loves to take you down and they love to manufacture drama. And my read on the situation is truly just that a lot of outside folks really wanted to gin up some drama here around the Denver Broncos. And so I think a lot of it was overblown. There certainly was, some testy moments there. But as far as training camp just starting the 28th here, just a couple days from now, Bo Nix will be fully in attendance, fully cleared. Has dropped a couple sizzle reels out there on social media, and from all reports out there, he is good to go.
So the expectation is that he will be not 100% healthy, but as close to 100% when the Chiefs and Broncos play on Monday Night Football?
Oh, he'll be 100%. Yeah, he was asked at a press conference the other day, are there any worries for you? And he said, the only worry is for the opposing teams because my ankle has never felt this good going into a training camp. So that could certainly be, trying to diffuse the tension there. But from all the, it's an ankle break. We've all had broken bones, and my expectation is he'll be 100%.
I want you to weigh in on the Broncos offseason because it was a very eventful free agency period, at least at the top end. The Broncos traded for Miami Dolphins wide receiver Jalen Waddle. And just looking at some of the other moves the Broncos made, they brought back J.K. Dobbins, linebackers Alex Singleton and Justin Strnad. What is the feel like in Denver knowing that this is a year where they're coming off of an AFC Championship game loss with pretty much the same core intact, and you add a player like Jalen Waddle to that already good wide receiver room? What is the optimism level in Denver right now?
Yeah, unlike any time I've ever felt it, like other than when we were tracking tail light numbers to hope that Payton would sign with the Denver Broncos, a decade ago. I don't know if there's been this level of optimism. It was last year at this time that Sean Payton addressed the media and said this was one of the 6 teams that he's in his career that he thought was capable of winning a Super Bowl. And, the national media and pretty much everyone else in the AFC West laughed at that. And the Broncos were a Bo Nix ankle break away, I think, from being in the Super Bowl last season. Now the Seahawks were a juggernaut, and that would have been a tough game. But I think optimism is very, very high, bringing back 90% of the starters, and then one of the starters you don't bring back, the only new face to this offense, at least, is Jalen Waddle. That's crazy exciting.
I want to ask you, because something that we experienced here in Kansas City, and you saw it firsthand, the Chiefs won a lot of one-score games in 2024. And in 2025, they won very few of those one-score games. Last year, the Broncos seemingly had a lucky rabbit's foot because they won a lot of those one-score games. Is there a fear that a minor regression, even just coming back to the mean in terms of wins, could result in a much tighter division race?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The parts of me that are like wanting to sell my house and put them on the Broncos winning the Super Bowl, I'm like, we're not going to regress. But if I'm being a realist, and Sean was asked about this, and his response was like, we might not do as well in one-score games, but we can play a lot better to not be in that situation, and we can, put our foot on the gas the entire game. Davis Webb is our new offensive coordinator and our new play caller, and I think that's a crazy advantage for the Broncos, especially week one going to KC, that there's no film on how Davis Webb is going to call a game, and I think that's a cool that they have, and I think he is more of that new school. He actually was Patrick Mahomes' backup in college and played at Texas Tech, and really is an up-tempo, new school type hurry-up offense, spread them out. So I think there's a level to this offense that we haven't seen yet, and I think our defense, and when I say our, I mean the Denver Broncos defense, will be equally as good next year. So, but for sure, it is a regression could absolutely happen.
And I'm not going to sit here, Ben, and tell you that I believe the Chiefs have a better roster on paper than the Denver Broncos. I would put the Denver Broncos roster up against most in the NFL, and that is part of the luxury of having a quarterback on a rookie contract. But looking at the roster, it's very difficult to fill every single position of need. And, just looking at the Broncos roster, it seems like they have addressed a lot of those positions just with where they've allocated certain funds. But if you were to name a position group on either offense or defense that still could be the weak point, what group would that be?
Well, I think everyone in Denver wanted Kenneth Walker coming to Denver, and y'all took him. So, J.K. Dobbins is an absolute stud as a running back. But as you and I have talked about off air, a number exactly that he has very few times he's finished a whole season. So I'd say like that the running back position. But truthfully, it is the inside linebacker position that, for a better half of a decade, the Broncos have not been able to find that inside linebacker who does it all, who can stop the run but then not get burned by a tight end or a wheel route. And they're running it back with Alex Singleton and Justin Strnad, as you'd said. They tried it with Dre Greenlaw for a year, and that didn't work. So I would say that inside linebacker position. And then defensive line, we did lose John Franklin-Meyer, and he just got a huge payday with the Tennessee Titans. Well-deserved. The Titans could be a scary team in the AFC for both of us, I think. But missing out on him, who's going to step up on that defensive line to help with what John Franklin-Meyer did? That when Zach Allen, who led the league last year in quarterback hits, got his new deal, he said he's going to, if he bought an island, he would name his island after John Franklin-Meyer or something, because him taking all those double teams. So I would say defensive line and inside linebacker.
And, looking at the Broncos draft class, I remember looking at it at the time because I was in Pittsburgh covering the draft, and I was watching the board fall, and I'm like, where are the Broncos picking in the top 100? And they had, their first round pick, or I guess their first pick in the draft was pick 66 in the third round. The Broncos did have 7 picks total, but what is the level of expectation to get any production whatsoever out of the rookie class when the roster as is pretty deep before the rookie class even gets factored into that equation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a chance to have Justin Jolie, our newest tight end from NC State, on an episode, and he talked about that, about how difficult it is. Like when you were in the AFC Championship game, you won 14 games, it's going to be really difficult to get to any playing time. So I would say he is probably the best chance. Jonah Coleman, we got him out of Washington, a little duplicitous with the talents that I think R.J. Harvey has, but I think he definitely steps in and can be a nice blocking running back on third downs especially. So watching him get some dump-offs and some passes thrown his way. But really, I don't expect a ton out of that rookie class. I think the biggest thing that you'll see different would be over Vance Joseph, the Broncos defensive coordinator, and Sean Payton. One thing is that they trust rookies on offense for some reason, but they don't trust them on defense. So Bo Nix's rookie year, week 1, he's the starter, goes to Seattle, throws the ball 50 times, and his leading guy he's targeting is Devon Vele, another rookie wide receiver. Meanwhile, the Broncos draft Jahdae Barron out of Texas 2 seasons ago. He barely sees the field. So I actually think you'll see a big jump from Jahdae Barron, the Broncos' first-round draft pick last season, stepping in more than you'll see any of the rookies from this last draft.
That's super interesting. And, you talking about Jonah Coleman made me want to address a conversation that we've had off air on different podcasts, whether it's on Sports Talk Denver or KC Sports Report. I have asked many times why the Broncos seem to address the running back position every single offseason, whether it's in free agency or the draft, and yet it's never enough. I mean, looking at the running back room right now, it's J.K. Dobbins, who's got injury concerns, durability issues. They just drafted Jonah Coleman in the 4th round. R.J. Harvey was a 2nd-round draft pick last year. What is the game plan in the running back room? Is it just throw bodies at the position until somebody gets it right? Or is it just all of these backs serve a different purpose, and when we put them all together, they fit somehow?
Yeah, I think it is the latter. And I think when you look at Sean Payton's offenses back with the New Orleans Saints, he really does compare the game of football to chess all the time. And he kind of, puts players in a bucket and says, this is my speedster who works against this coverage, and this is my ground and pound guy who works against this coverage in this lineup. So I really do think that I was able to do a breakdown of his Super Bowl season and then one other season where he actually would do 3 running backs pretty regularly, and each of them had a different purpose. I don't know if you remember, like Mike Bell and
of course
Deuce McAllister and Reggie Bush. So I think that is it, that he has these 3 distinct kind of visions for those players and their role on the team. But I think you definitely hit a nerve when you say that, which is why I think the number one person on all of our boards going into the offseason was Kenneth Walker. And I think y'all just got a real steal with him.
Well, the Chiefs needed Kenneth Walker in the worst way, because as much as I've clowned on Denver's inability to run the football, the Chiefs had 2 backs last year in Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, who I think made up one of the worst running back units in the NFL. And so one of the points of emphasis for Brett Veach this offseason was to get more explosive at the running back position. And in the hope of competing with Denver in the division, I want to ask you, because with success comes renewed expectations. There is going to be, just with the optimism, a different level of expectations in 2026 for the Denver Broncos. So with those expectations, what would be a success of a season or a failure of a season? Because for a long time in Kansas City, the expectation was Super Bowl or bust. I'm not sure if those are the expectations in 2026. I think a lot of Chiefs fans would like to see them get back to the playoffs after going 6-11. But what would you define as a successful season and a failure of a season?
It is hard to say this out loud. I think it's Super Bowl or bust for the Denver Broncos. And going a decade without sniffing the playoffs, I wouldn't have guessed that the turnaround could happen that quickly. But, yeah, I think the way that this whole thing is structured, where, the Denver Broncos had 2 coordinators, both who had a ton of head coaching interviews elsewhere with Davis Webb and Vance Joseph, and they turned him down almost for this one last ride, knowing that, like, as you said, I think the sneaky advantage the Denver Broncos have is that Bo Nix is on that rookie deal, and you have to make really difficult decisions like the Chiefs did with McDuffie. And, when you have to pay a quarterback, it lessens what you can do everywhere else. So yeah, I think the Denver Broncos are Super Bowl or bust.
Is Bo Nix up for a contract extension next offseason?
He can be. It's this will be his 3rd full season. But you remember how that works with like first round draft picks and 5th year and all that. So
he's not playing under the 5th year option. There's no way that's going to happen.
No. Not unless his ankles are truly the size of a chicken bone.
And for Denver fans, that would not be ideal. What is the hope or optimism around Jalen Waddle? You don't give up the compensation via draft capital unless he's going to be a definitive number one. Does that say more about the season being an all-in year, or does that say that they don't trust Cortland Sutton to be a number one guy?
Yeah, I think it says more about that they would have targeted a wide receiver in the draft, and that Jalen Waddle is a better player than anything they could have done at 30. And essentially that's what they had to give up to get him was basically, a end of the first round draft pick. So I think they, again, to the point of Sean has a chessboard out. I think Cortland Sutton certainly is the 6'4" guy who looks like a basketball player who's your get up and go, or your go up and get it type, throw a jump ball and he will get it. But Jalen Waddle is your yard after catch and your joker, and you can move him everywhere. And I think the Denver Broncos have lacked having that type of production and that type of player.
Ben from Sports Talk Denver is our guest. Ben, a couple more questions for you. You're on a Kansas City radio station. I understand that you're a diehard Denver Broncos fan. You cover the team on a daily basis. When I look at the AFC West, I see the Chiefs and the Broncos and everybody else. In your mind, who is the biggest threat to the Broncos' AFC West chances? What team, I guess, makes you a little bit nervous?
Yeah, I think it is Patrick Mahomes going to be Patrick Mahomes, or will he? I have no doubt he's playing week one, but will that be lingering in the back of his mind? And this time next year, we'll hear him going into training camp saying, like, yeah, I was in the back of my mind every time I drop back. If he is 80% of the Patrick Mahomes who's haunted our dreams for a decade, then the Chiefs are the biggest concern in the AFC West. Because that guy can win games by himself. I would say the Chargers have always been, that team in the offseason who's just so talented. And, by week 11, the Chargers are going to Charger. Will the lack of, with Minter going to, obviously, the Baltimore Ravens, that defense is what scared me about the Chargers, and I'm not scared of that defense with him not there anymore. So I would say it's the Chiefs and Broncos, but if the Chargers stay healthy and that defense doesn't drop off with Minter leaving, that's a great team, and we could have three teams from the AFC West again.
Final couple questions for you. I want to ask you about the Broncos' schedule, because even though the Broncos won the division and are playing other first-place teams, the way the schedule broke, I would say that the Broncos have a more favorable schedule. So with that favorable schedule in mind, what is a, I guess, realistic win total? And how many wins is it going to take to win the West?
Yeah, well, I just broke this down on my channel, so it's fresh in my mind. But the Denver Broncos have a +4 rest differential. Yeah, the Chiefs have a -3. That hasn't happened in a long time, where the NFL's, given the Broncos that advantage. The Chargers have to play 4 teams coming off of their bye. The Broncos only have to play 1, and it's the Jets late in the season. Broncos have like the least amount of air miles they have to do in it. Yeah. And then when you just break it down by wins last season, the Broncos have the 11th easiest schedule in the NFL. Chiefs have the 10th. So I think both the Broncos and the Chiefs have decently easy paths to the playoffs. I would say 11 wins the West. What would you say?
It might be 11 or 12. It depends on what these early season divisional games are going to look like. I'm pretty confident that Denver and Kansas City are going to split the season series, and so then it will come down to, what do the Raiders look like? Are they a pushover? Are they competitive? Do the Chargers stay healthy and figure out the offense with Justin Herbert and now Mike McDaniel, the new offensive coordinator? I think it will come down to Denver and Kansas City to win the West, but at the same time, if Vegas is no longer a pushover and the Chargers can stay healthy, on paper, they've got a roster that can compete with anybody. So it's going to be a very fascinating division to watch. I think it could be one of the best divisions in all of football, definitely on the AFC side of things. But Ben, my final couple questions for you. Give me an X factor for the Broncos on offense in 2026 and on defense.
On offense, give me Evan Ingram. You and
We've chopped it up about Evan Ingram before.
I know, but I think I'm going to win it this time. Last year, I bet you Evan Ingram would outplay Travis Kelce. I was wrong. It has to happen this year. It just has to. Like, Travis is a year older, but I think here's the reason to be bullish on Evan Ingram. He played with Davis Webb. He chose the Denver Broncos because Davis Webb recruited him. He had a meeting back-to-back with the Broncos and with the Chargers. He picked going to Denver because Davis Webb just convinced him to come. So I think Davis Webb being the play caller, the only time we saw Evan Ingram really pop off last season was the one preseason game that Sean let Davis call plays, and he had 70-yard gorgeous play called for him, and it was awesome. So give me Evan Ingram. Then on defense, give me Jonah Ellis. He one of those famous Ellis brothers. His dad played in the NFL. His brother plays for the Patriots. His dad actually was the Broncos chaplain for quite a while there. Edge rusher, kind of backing up Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito, and I just think he's going to have a phenomenal year. He had 5 sacks his rookie year, and then was pretty dinged up last year, but I think he will hit the ground running and look great.
Ben, did Jonathan Cooper actually eat that smartphone? Did that actually happen?
No comment. I mean, eat, digest. Did he bite it?
We could get into the weeds here about what eat means, but did he put it in his mouth?
He did.
That's Ben of Sports Talk Denver. Ben, it was a great pleasure to get you on the show. Thank you so much as always.
Back at you, man. You're the best.
More Zone coming up next. Welcome back into the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michael Darcy filling in for Jason Anderson and Sterling Holmes, who decided not to show up today. Think he's on vacation. Not really sure.
I saw him post a selfie. Him and my
he wearing
daughter
a
and
shirt?
her friends, they all post selfies a lot on the socials, and he was in Kentucky.
Was he wearing a shirt?
Yeah, but he was also showing alcohol in it. He said, "Hey, look, everybody, I know how to drink."
Pretty on brand. That's not exactly atypical.
It was him. Yeah,
It was him.
we could tell it was him. Nobody hijacked his phone.
Nobody hijacked it. Actually, I'm
He
looking at it
loves
right
his
now.
selfies, man. Likes to show his fits.
He loves to show his fits. The fit is fitting today. But Mick, what's going on with you?
Nothing much. Just been doing yard work, and now I have radio, and then I'll have real work after this, which isn't real work. It's just TV.
Just TV.
So, yeah, just a regular Wednesday. It's a Wednesday.
So is Wednesday your Friday? I always get your schedule
Wednesday's my
confused.
Thursday.
Okay, Wednesday's your
Thursday's my
Thursday.
Friday. I have
Thur-
Friday, Saturday off
Okay.
for the most part. So yeah, this I like it when the Royals have a day game. So that'll be over early and taken care of, and then I'll look forward to the TBT game tonight. Did you watch that as a KU guy last night?
I caught a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Did you?
Wasn't much of a KU game.
I didn't clip it. I should have clipped it. They were talking to Michael Beasley in the post-game presser, and he was talking about, they're like, "Did you kiss a guy,
He
Mike?"
kissed a guy
and he goes,
on the.
"Michael Beasley did." that was his response. But no, it was not a great game for the JHX.
The JHX hoops, and some of the guys that played the best for them are like Washburn guys, weren't even like KU grads. So they're tonight again. I don't know if it's at 8:00 again, but it's over in Topeka tonight. It's at Lee Arena where Washburn plays.
I probably should know this. How does this tournament work? Is it
So it's new. They change it every year. It's $2 million. Used to be winner take all $1 million. Now it's winner take all $2 million. There is an 8-team alumni bracket, and there's a 6-team non-alumni bracket. So there's 14 teams. Before, it was you lose and you're out, one and done. Now, first round is a best-of-3 series against a rival. And so the Louisville alums are playing the Kentucky alums.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wichita State's playing New Mexico alums. I don't know about any rivalry, past or budding, in those two programs' histories, but they're playing a best of 3, and I can't remember the other series. So best of 3, and then you'll get to the kind of knockout round stage where it's you're one and done.
I can't find anything on if there's a long-standing rivalry. Did Wichita State and New Mexico play in the same conference at one point? Was that a?
Gosh, I don't remember them doing it, but maybe were they? I mean, were they both in the AAC at all?
The Missouri Valley? Did New Mexico play in the Missouri Valley at any point?
Not when I was alive or that I remember. They change so often. Maybe they overlap for a couple of years in the WAC or something. I have no idea, but certainly not the first rival you would think of with Wichita State. It was probably a deal of like, okay, we've got these 8 alumni teams. Let's pair them up as
we need
best
an
we
8th.
can.
We need that final team.
We need that one as well. And so, yeah, I don't know if Wichita State won their first one or what, but K-State looked clear-cut better than KU last night. I mean, Michael Beasley is going to be a guy getting buckets when he's 60 years old. I mean, that guy, played in the NBA for a decade or whatever, could have been a lot longer, could have had a better career if, the off-the-court stuff. Had he started now when weed was legal everywhere, right?
Yeah.
He would be a lot better off. But maybe wasn't always the best teammate, and yes, is kissing opponents on the court. He got 2 technicals last night, I think. He got kicked out at the end, but he's like, it's fine.
It's a
over.
TBT tournament.
Yeah, and it's got the Elam ending, so that's fun. Do you know what the Elam ending is? So the Elam ending is not time-based. And so...
Oh, like first to blank?
First to whatever score. So you get inside 4 minutes, and last night the score was... I think it was like something like 72-60. K-State was winning. So they add 8 points to the highest team score, and it's first team to get their wins. And so it was 80. First team to get to 80 wins. And obviously K-State had outplayed them all game, so they have a much, better advantage. They have a head start in getting there, and they got there. I think it was 80 to 69 or something like that. So it's kind of fun in that, like, it takes away the fouling at the end to where, like, you want to get the ball back really quick.
Yeah, there's no time.
There's no time. And also, you foul them, they're going to line and make free throws. They're getting points to get closer to that. So you play more straight-up defense. It's all about defense kind of at that point if you're the trailing team and you want to come back. And so there's some wild endings with the Elam ending. We didn't see one last night. But, yeah, there's some value in the TBT. They had a good crowd at Bramlage last night.
I did see the crowd. There were a lot of mostly K-State fans there, but there were some Kansas fans there. How much do you think they had to pay Michael Beasley to do this?
I don't know. I don't know that they can pay him a whole lot, but the prospect of perhaps sharing $2 million amongst that team surely does help.
Yeah, I think that's the form of payment.
That might be the only.
Hey, you
form
play
of
well
payment.
enough, you might be walking away with a good amount of money.
Yes. It's funny. Zeke Mayo was playing for KU. I swear I saw him in summer league games for. Is it Cleveland? I swear he played some summer league games this year.
Intern Jack would agree with you. He says he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Right, and so I guess if you're a kind of a G League guy like Zeke is, you can go and play in this thing.
It also helps that he was a hometown kid.
Yeah, but I always thought it was guys that were just kind of done playing, whereas I think Zeke has a shot at maybe a little bit of a future. I don't know if he's a two-way guy already to where he has one of those contracts, or I don't even know if he's played in the league, but I thought he was with Cleveland or somewhere in there.
I just recently learned how large summer league rosters are.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, Melvin Council made a summer league team. I think he was with the Pelicans, and there's a growing theory or optimism that he'll come back to Kansas to play.
Yep.
I don't know how that would even work. A, he's out of eligibility. B,
I don't think
they
so.
would have to pull. There's people out there.
I mean,
that think it's possible.
Anything's possible now with the way these things are going. But yeah, we always run the G League highlights. Sorry, the Summer League highlights of the local guys who were drafted. Like we were monitoring Bennett Sturts and Wagler and Darren Peterson kind of the most this Summer League. So I like watching the games. But you're right. It's like 25 dudes sometimes on that. And then they shut down Bennett Sturts the last couple games. Like, all right, we've seen enough. We know you can play at this level. We don't. Same with Peterson. He didn't. I don't think played the last couple games.
And you were watching the top three guys that are gonna make the roster. Like there's no question if Bennett Sturts, who got drafted
first round
lottery, he's gonna make the team. But like for someone like Melvin Council, he was averaging 8 in the summer league. I don't think was he averaging 8 at Kansas? Had to be
more than 8, right?
He averaged somewhere around 14.
Yeah.
Kansas.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He had a great
best
player.
player.
A little bit, yeah.
At times,
best player.
I probably should have known that.
I mean, not most talented.
He was averaging
Most
12.7.
consistent player. Yes.
Yeah, most
12.7.
consistent player. The fan favorite there, right? Because he
He embraced
played.
Kansas.
Yeah, he embraced Kansas the one year he was there, and he was a funny dude in the post-game press conferences, and he looks a lot like Tyshawn Taylor from back in the day.
Has the attitude of a Tyshawn Taylor
Very
as well.
similar, yes, kind of a dog on the floor. And so, yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if Council hangs on a roster somewhere for a little bit.
I don't know. It's so tough because there's a difference between being Kansas good and NBA good, and even just NBA serviceable. Look at Hunter Dickinson.
For the longest time, if you're Kansas good, you're NBA good, man. If you played at Kansas, now it's a different deal. Where KU's, I just called him best player last year, came from St. Bonaventure, right?
St. Bonaventure.
And other guys that have just kind of bounced around and weren't 5-star blue chip guys, and it's just a weird, wild world. And as evidenced by that, KU is a top 4 or 5 team in the Big 12 the last few years instead of a top 1 team like they were for 14 straight years.
When his comp Tyshawn Taylor, he had a cup of coffee in the NBA. He's infamous for Brooklyn Net when he was pushed or ran into Jason Kidd and he dropped the water tray on the court.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the moment that I think of Tyshawn Taylor.
Timeout, so to speak.
Yeah, the timeout because they had to clean up all the water that was on the court. That's pretty much the long-standing memory I have of Tyshawn Taylor. Could there be an element of all of the Euro players coming to the NBA now that kind of weed out what maybe Melvin Council could have done in the league a decade ago?
100%. Yeah, I mean, there's only so many spots, and the more you open the doors to those guys coming over from Europe, then that absolutely takes away spots. I can't remember if he was he a second. I don't think he was a second round pick or anything like that this year, was he? Is he just
Melvin Council?
Yeah,
no, he was undrafted.
Yeah, okay, undrafted.
Yeah, undrafted.
So, but yeah, I like I've been I like the watching the summer leagues, but I'll watch the TBT again tonight. I ran highlights of it last night just because it was a slow night. I'll do it again tonight. But Beasley is just far and away the best player. I mean, he's in great shape, and he's, I don't know, 37, something like that.
How old is Michael Beasley? Because
he's 30. I think he's like born in like 89 or something like that. I think he's like 36 or 37.
He plays in that Big 3 league as well.
Does.
So yeah, that might help the conditioning a tiny bit. Maybe.
He does, and he's a bucket in that league as well, especially when that's 3-on-3, correct, Deebs?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have even more space. But then last night he's dropping alley-oops to Xavier Sneed and dropping dimes and doing everything. That looked like a much better K-State team than KU. We'll see if they can turn it around tonight.
I think Beasley's the perfect example of how a player could be so-so in the NBA. He had a career that was overshadowed by the off-the-court stuff, but just how much better he is than even other guys that play D1. Like, there is a noticeable difference in the talent level, and that's why the Purple Rain.
He's the like the real life version of all these golf movies like Tin Cup or whatever, or The Hawk that I just watched and I love. I don't care what anybody says. And some of these other like guys that just kind of are just blessed, God-given talent that kind of threw a lot of it away for various reasons. I mean, he had one of the greatest freshman basketball seasons we've ever seen. There was kind of 2 years period where we saw Durant and Beasley and Blake Griffin as freshmen. Was like
07, 08, 09?
Yeah, right around then. I can't remember who's. I know Durant and Beasley played on the same AAU team together. It had to be the greatest one ever. And I want to say, I don't know if they were, one was 1 year ahead of the other, but Griffin was around that time. And they were all in the Big 12, and it was just a fun time to be alive and to watch those guys. And he was a one and done guy, and then went to the Heat, and then started bouncing around to a lot of places, including like Japan. He was with Shanghai and
the Sharks. The Shanghai Sharks, I think, is what they are.
The Shanghai Sharks, yeah.
To put it into
Overseas,
context, I would have been 6 in 2008. I knew who Michael Beasley was. I recognized game.
You were 6.
It also helped that they took down KU. It was the Octagon of Doom. They
ended the winning streak that KU had.
And that's why I remember that. And it was Michael Beasley that basically put that team on his shoulders, and we're able to take down the Jayhawks. But
it was Shanghai. Sorry, it was China, not Japan. I apologize.
Oh, okay. So that's what you were asking. I thought you were asking about the team name of the Sharks or the Shanghai Sharks. They're Shanghai Sharks, right?
I think so. I'm probably looking. Yeah.
See, I know that Shanghai because of Shaq. That's how I know that.
But he also played.
Dwight Howard played over there too.
Yeah, he played. He also played for the Shandong Golden Stars. I'm guessing that is also in China. Yes, it is. So
okay.
Bounced around over there.
Final thing before we go to break: the Chiefs unveiled some renderings for their new stadium opening up in 2031. Some elements that aren't showed in the renderings. It's going to have 20,000 parking spaces, which is more than they currently have by like 500 or 600.
Okay, good.
But other than that, I tweeted out, it looks like they just put Arrowhead Stadium inside.
Sure. They that's more parking spots at the entire Truman Sports Complex, is counting all the parking spots. And
I believe so. I probably need to count it as well.
Just look out there and get a count on that. So that's good. I wonder if so much of that is by design. We saw it when Kauffman Stadium was refurbished. And with renderings of what it would be like moving downtown, and a lot of the same elements because of nostalgia and fans who have been going to these stadiums forever were kept just to appease those fans and keep it, somewhat like it's been for a long time. So I'm not surprised by that. It doesn't look that much different than the renderings we saw that
December
supposedly were not attributed to the Chiefs. They didn't have anything to do with it, but I'm sure they did. And so yeah, the outside is more eye-popping than the inside. I'm like you, like inside it looks like now. The outside, I love the description here of the
renderings
of the ESPN, like what it's going to look like. The ESPN article of it here.
By the way, there's 26,000 in the entire Truman Sports Complex. So
okay,
a little bit more parking in the whole complex, but there's going to be more avenues for things to do out there.
Yeah, they say its fully enclosed dome will feature a ceiling of translucent ethylene tetrafluoroethylene panels. Whatever those are.
It sounds terrible. It sounds bad. It sounds like it's bad for the environment.
And then it will, similar to Arrowhead, the dome will be built with a symmetrical and curved exterior, including a scalloped upper deck in each end zone. I don't know what a scalloped is.
I think it's the shape of the overhang.
Okay.
My best guess.
Okay.
That's my best guess. I would assume, because if you look at the rendering, it's almost like I don't even like one of those tennis ball launchers they use for a dog.
Yeah.
It's like that.
That's nice.
Like that. That's the best way to describe it. But no, I don't think it'll be good. The renderings just make it look like they put a dome, like a SoFi dome, on Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be too upset with it. But we'll see what it looks like in 2031. We're going to take a quick break. And on the other side of this break, it's time for my favorite segment of the week, Rotten Tomatoes. More Zone next. into the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michael Darcy filling in for Jason Anderson and Sterling Holmes, who I'm sure are going to be pretty jealous they don't get to play a little Rotten Tomatoes today. Mick Schaefer and Deebs producing the operation. This will be fun. I got like 3 or 4 movies picked out. Don't know if we'll get to them all, but I have a very specific theme normally.
Themes are always welcome. Your theme is usually as obscure and pretty close to 0 on the popcorn.
And we'll get there.
Tomato meter.
We're definitely going to get there. My first movie, actually, let me explain the rules. For Rotten Tomatoes, we're each going to name a movie on Rotten Tomatoes. We're going to guess the tomato meter, what the critics have to say, and then the fan meter, what they have to say. And the closest to that meter gets the point. If you get it right on the dot, you get 2 points, and you got to be within 25 either way. So with that being said, my first movie, in theme of me replacing Jason, replacing Sterling, my movie's The Replacements.
Okay.
Which I think everybody knows what The Replacements is, so there's not really a point in reading the description. I mean, I guess I can.
Keanu Reeves.
It's
Shane Falco.
Shane Falco. It's late in the season. The playoffs are fast approaching, and the Washington Sentinels have just gone on strike. Scrambling for a solution, the Sentinels owner, Edward O'Neill, hatches a plan to bring in legendary coach Jimmy McGinty to recruit a team of replacement players in exactly 1 week. For fans and owners alike, the strike is a disaster. But for Shane Falco and a mismatched crew of his outsiders, it is the second chance they've waited for their whole lives.
Okay.
The Replacements.
Great movie.
It's one of my favorite movies.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I need to see it again.
Jimmy McGinty is anything but a conventional guy.
Anything but. So we start with Deebs.
Yep.
Deebs, what do you think the critics thought of The Replacements?
Well, they're typically wrong, so I'm going to say they thought it was about a 60%.
Yeah, it's the
Which is about 40% low.
Range I'm thinking here. A little bit of heart to it. I'm going to go higher than 65%.
41%.
Dang, should have got
So
lower.
Deebs gets it.
Crazy.
Dang it.
That's the craziest thing of all time.
Deebs gets
You're right,
the
Mick.
point.
It's got too much heart to be that low.
Too much heart.
Which is, it's funny because, again, the theme is normally bad movies. This is not a bad movie.
No,
And
it's not like the slapstick comedy, too, that they usually hate.
It's got a little bit of everything. It's got
Yeah.
romance. It's just got it all.
100%. All right, so I'll go cult classic, definitely. I'll go 71%. Fans.
I'll say 78% fans.
66%.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I was
one
very
one.
surprised to see. I'm keeping score. For the first time, I'm keeping score.
Fans are dumb, too.
Yeah, the fans did
be
not
They're
have
just
it
a
that
little
one.
bit smarter than the critics.
Well, usually you see the critics will either love it and the fans hate it, or if the critics are low on it, then it's like a 20 to 25% difference with the fans. But when you are dealing with a number
I
in
think
the 40s,
most people like most movies, so for the most part, the fans are going to be higher than the critics.
I would be such a bad critic. I'm like, oh, I enjoyed that movie.
It was fun, yeah.
That really bad movie, I enjoyed it.
4 or 5 plot holes I don't get, but that was good.
Some
She
of
was
my
hot, and
favorite
that guy
movies
was funny.
are bad movies.
Sometimes there's a novelty factor to watching a really bad movie.
I tell you, I watched The Hawk in 2 nights.
I don't even
I
know.
went Rotten Tomatoes. It's
The
Will
Hawk.
Ferrell.
Is that a movie that you have
No,
on?
it's a Netflix TV series.
No, I mean like on your list. I don't
No,
want to
it's
look
not.
at it.
You look it up. Oh, it's bad. It's like 28% by the critics.
Yeah,
I've
I
never
watched
even
about 10
heard of
minutes. I
this.
watched about 10 minutes of it with my brother, and I went, what is going on here?
Addicted to it.
When did this come out? Oh, it's
Like the other day.
The other day. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the new series that he's doing. Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm going to watch
Luke
it,
Wilson's in it as Caddy, is the what's her name? Fortune, the Feemster, the comedian. Molly Shannon's in it. Anyway, all right. So
but Deebs,
Deebs,
your
movie.
first movie.
Gonna go with another sports-themed movie, Basketball.
makers of South Park.
Another one of my favorite movies.
I swear, if you do that 16, 17 more times,
I'm gonna get pretty upset
I'm
about
gonna
it.
get pretty upset about it. They make up a sport called basketball, and it's kind of genius. Critics, it's gonna be bad. Oh man, I'm gonna say critics gave it a 31%.
I'm feeling 28%. It's got to be pretty low.
Yeah, the second half of the movie kind of tapers off. First half's great when they're coming up with the game. Second half, they lose it a little bit, but still a great movie that the critics had at 40%.
Oh, not good for me. We got Mick 2, Deebs 1. All right, fans. Oh, man. Well, are the fans Deebs or the fans? I feel like in general, this movie was received well. But what was the critics' review again?
40%.
I'm going to say 58, and I don't like it. 58.
No, I think it's going to be down around there. Not South Park humor isn't got by everybody. So that's a good guess. I'll go under. I'll go 55.
The correct answer would be 74.
Oh,
the people
nice.
loved
Good for
it.
them. They loved it. The people have spoken. You're on the board.
Oh, needed that. So it's 2-1-1. Mick Schaefer's in the lead.
My first one, in honor of the Odyssey coming out, I'm going to do a bunch of like Greek movies.
Which I need to see that, by the way. I'm super
my son
stunned.
saw it last night, and he said it was awesome. This is it's a long description. This is Troy, 2004. Brad Pitt.
Okay.
Is
Brian Cox.
He's
Great
Achilles, right? Is that
Yes,
who
he is Achilles.
Okay, Achilles. I need to do a Cliff's Notes version of the Odyssey. It's been like 30 years since I read it in school, so I need to brush up on my Greek gods or not gods or half gods and all that. You know, Thor, he's one of them, right? No. So anyway, for the critics, what do they think about Troy?
The cast was good. Critics normally like movie renditions of these, like the Odyssey or Troy, or like what's another really big historical? I guess I don't want to say biopic because it's not a biopic. But
Oppenheimer was another Christopher Nolan one.
Usually
recently
big time
that people
directors, big time budgets.
Yeah.
I'll say I could be way off of this. I'll say 86.
I'm going to say the critics had Troy roughly at 75.
Point for Deebs, 53. They did not like this. Just
They
sliding
did not
in.
like that at all.
Yeah, just sliding in the 25 percent rule. All right, what the fans think?
I remember it being a pretty good movie. I'm going to say 78% liked it. 78%.
I'm going to say 75.
74. You're close.
Could have used that.
He almost set you up for it.
Well, now we got a little tie ball game, 2-2-2. And unlike the other game, Sports or Leisure, not Sports or Leisure. Oh my gosh, what is the game we're all tied in? Do you know what I'm talking about?
This game right now?
Is this the game that we're all tied in? No. It's Fact or Fiction with Todd Lebo. That's what it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we're always tied in one game.
That's the morning shows. Or no, who's Sports or Leisure?
That's us.
Yeah, that's you guys. Yeah.
Like I said, I should know that.
I call it Everybody Wins because they always give too
that
many
Sports or Leisure.
Yeah.
You would have not liked. We had 11 winners last week on
it's
Sports or
ridiculous.
Leisure.
Jason's got too much of a heart.
Well, Jason wasn't even in. It was Sterling last week.
Yeah, both got heart.
Okay.
Dumb.
Miles and miles apart.
My second movie, intern Jack put this on here. Never heard of it. It's Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star.
I remember that movie.
You've seen it?
When it came out.
Nick Swardson,
Yeah, it's,
Edward Herman,
exactly what you think of.
Miriam Flynn, an innocent Midwesterner. Bucky Larson works in a dead-end job as a grocery bagger and has never even kissed a girl. Obviously, his life is going nowhere. While watching a film with his buddies, he discovers that his conservative parents were once porn stars. I should have probably read this before putting it on the list. Shout out to intern Jack. Convinced that he's found his true destiny, Bucky heads out to Hollywood to make it big in the adult film business, even though his qualifications for the job come up short. Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star.
Film. God, I can't remember much about this movie. I'm going to
Where
say
in the 90 percentile are you going to put it, Deebs?
I'm going to say the critics had this at about 15%.
Which way to go? I'm going to think since it was picked for you by an intern, it's going to be low. I'm going to go 12.
3%.
Let's go. Give it to me.
3%.
That sets the bar pretty low.
It's a tougher game when there's just two of us. You're the first to go. The other's got a huge advantage. It's like being the home team in like extra innings in baseball.
Sure. Okay, so was this a cult classic? Was this was this a movie that
so.
people just ran to the theaters to watch?
So
I don't even know
that
if it was in
three?
theaters.
Yeah, I think it might have been straight to DVD.
Usually I've heard and seen these types of movies, but even I hadn't heard it. I'm going to go 21%. It feels high.
I'll be generous and say 30%.
It's 26%. So Mick would get it.
No. He had 30. He had 30, right? He's
Yeah, I
4
had
off
30.
on 5 off.
Oh, math's not a strong suit. What did you say?
21.
Oh, they said 22.
It was close, but I think I
mean, I said 23, as far as you know.
Okay.
No, I said 21.
So
right.
Deebs got the point on that, and Mick got the point on the previous one on Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star. Deebs, your second movie?
We're going to go with a Kevin Costner, Ashton Kutcher Coast Guard movie, The Guardian.
Yeah.
Which I remember seeing in theaters.
Which we did this movie. Wait.
Well, no, it's not. The Guardian is.
Wait. Is Kevin Costner done?
That's not Coast Guard. Isn't that the one with Whitney Houston?
Regardless, I don't really remember what we did this
We did
last
one
week
with,
though.
but it wasn't The Guardian, right?
Yeah, The Guardian. It's Kevin Costner is like an old. He trains
We did
Coast
do it.
Guard
That's
guys.
right, yeah.
Did we
You
do
guys
it?
did that? Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll go with the next movie we had, which is The Benchwarmers.
Oh.
That's me. I'm
Yeah.
not looking anything up here.
Figuring out the. Because there's no way that Ashton
Bodyguard.
Kutcher
Oh,
and
I'm getting so old. Bodyguard's what I was thinking of.
That's another Kevin Costner movie.
Yes. We had the same conversation last week. We did do The Guardian. So, Benchwarmers, fantastic. I'm 12. I'm gonna do. I love David Spade, by the way. Critics obviously loved it to the tune of a 28%.
I'm a little high. I'll say 42%.
Well, point goes to Mick. The critics thought 13%.
Wow. That
was
is
a cult classic, though.
That is.
I promise you.
So, Jack, when I said that I wanted like lower scored movies, I wasn't expecting you to give Deebs lower
Hey,
scored
it's not
movies.
3% like yours.
No. But honestly, I'm surprised to see Benchwarmers was 13.
I'm not.
Okay. Do the fans
We're
like
just
it?
idiots.
This has to be a cult classic. I will die on this hill. I'm gonna say, but we're at 13. This is
Well, how big a gap?
69.
66.
Nice. 64. Mick.
Ooh.
Clean
You're
sweep.
close.
Set him
I
up.
thought you were way high.
All right, we go to Mick.
I got both those.
Yeah, Mick's got 5. I've got 2. Deeb's got 3. So we're not all tied.
Another classic about Greek warriors, 300, 2007. You guys see it?
Oh, yeah.
With
Just a epic film.
Gerard Butler.
Butler, yes. Sparta. They just 300 of them, and they battle.
Just
Lots-
300
lots
of 'em?
more. Tomato meter. What do the critics think?
I'm a little scared with Troy. Troy's kind of keeping my critic meter
yeah.
a little down. I'm gonna say this is a really good movie. I'm gonna say 72%, and that might be a little high.
I think this is going to be critically 52%.
You said what?
72.
Deebs gets it barely. It's 61.
Oh my gosh! I
You
should
said
have.
52, right?
Beginner's
9
luck,
to
yep.
11. There you
I
go.
should have listened to my heart. That movie got a 52.
61.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
61.
remember when it came out, there was a little bit of joking about the green screen usage and all that. So that
Yeah.
might have. It was a great movie, though.
The
so I
cast was pretty big, wasn't it? I mean, Gerard Butler. I can't remember who else.
His wife was the lady in Game of Thrones, right? Was
I can't
the
remember.
Lannister gal.
Cersei Lannister.
Cersei.
That sounds
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Can't remember her name.
I'm surprised to see that come in so
Couple
low.
hotties. Yeah. All right. So was it a cult classic, Deebs?
Yeah, I'm going to say the fans gave it 78%.
75.
89%.
Oh my! Getting cooked in my own game.
It's
Actually, Stu's
Sterling's
game.
It's,
Sterling's game. When did he come up with this?
a couple of years ago.
That's a great game to fill time. But my next movie is Raw Deal. When efforts to prosecute mob boss Luigi Petrovita are reputedly derailed thanks to a mole in the FBI, the only choice is to bring in an outsider, specifically Mark Kaminsky, a disgraced agent who leaps at the chance for reinstatement. After FBI chief Shannon gives him his orders, Kaminsky fakes his death and reemerges as an ex-con named Brenner. Undercover and accountable to no one, the former Fed tears up the mob from the inside. This movie has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
Okay. I've never heard of that.
I have not either. I did not know that he did it.
Got to be really high.
I've never heard of the movie, but I've never heard
This is
anyone-
an intern Jack moment. Which
Okay.
great pick, by the way. And it's funny because usually on Rotten Tomatoes, you get like the cast in the description of the movie. Arnold is not even mentioned at all, although he's plastered on the poster. So what did the critics think? What did the critics think of Raw Deal?
I'm going to guess not very highly. I'm going to guess 25%.
22.
31%. Deebs gets it.
nice.
Make a comeback.
So actually, right now, Mick has 6. Actually, no, he's got 5, and Deebs has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can tie or take the win if you can get this on the dot. We got to take a break.
Oh,
What
we don't
do?
get to our movies? Okay,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
What do the fans think?
I'm going to say the fans. What was the total there?
31.
Fans said 39.
45.
29%. Do we have time? Let's do one more movie. We gotta have a
he's
tie.
not going to be able to.
Oh yeah.
And if I do it, that's fine. Do it.
You know, I guess we got to break
I'm
it.
okay with the tie. Yeah.
Yeah.
My first showing being a tie with you guys, I'm okay
We're
with
good.
it.
We're
I'll
good.
tell you what, you guys. I got 2. This is my game, and I had 2. But you know what? I'll take the loss. More Zone right after this. Welcome back into the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Michael Darcy, Deebs, Mick Schaefer, wrapping up this show on a Wednesday.
Passion Pit?
I've not heard Passion Pit in a long time. This is definitely a Jake music choice, too.
It's like their best song.
I was driving in the other day. I heard Jake was playing a little Tame Impala. I was incredibly happy to hear it.
Jake's music knowledge is vast.
It's vast. He's got a whole folder full of it.
Thousands of songs.
That I got to change from the generic stuff. Having Deebs produce for just 2 days has made me realize.
I noticed the different music even when I was listening and coming in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. When I started here, I was told, we run the stream. You got to have this music because this is generic music. This is safe for the stream. We're not making anything.
Unsafe? Okay.
We're not making anything off that stream. We can play, whether it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers or AC/DC. We can play that music. It's better. But we were talking a little bit during the break about tailgating and whatnot. Told Mick I've never been tailgating.
It's wild to me.
And you apparently got the setup.
So I got to set up now, but I haven't because I'm always going to games as working and all that. But son plays in college now, so like last year we started up and I have these big old tubs. I have this portable grill that's great. I got all the propane tanks inside there, the mini ones, make it real easy. I got the spatula kit. I got the flags and all that stuff. We got the chairs, the table, we have the tent. And I get there and I realize I am a below average tailgater still. There's some big time setups there. I even have a TV and a generator to plug the TV into, but there's some I'm still working my way up.
And that's not advanced enough?
Not even, no. There's bigger ones than that. I'm jealous of them. I've got envy.
The closest thing I think I could get to would be maybe pulling out one of those griddles that people leave in the parking lot after the game and then just cracking open a couple beers and then call it a day. I'll have to definitely join Deeb's tailgate because it sounds nice.
Yeah, I'll bet.
More program coming up next.